I think, let's see, Jonathan Castell will be watching it, and I guess Ruben now. And then I think Giselle is coming a little bit later, so hopefully she can catch the first part. And then anyone that I do need to watch it in the future. So we're going to kick things off. How's everyone doing this morning?
Good.
Yeah, now it's a good morning. All right. So to give you guys kind of, well, let's actually start off with this before we even get started with the meeting. Let's get started with a quick round of what's hot and what do you appreciate to start off our meeting today. So we'll start off with
what's hot? Zeta pool party today.
Nice.
What do I appreciate? Having
You're
the
what?
boys
Where?
back.
Just kidding.
The
What did you
boys
say?
back.
You appreciate what?
Having the boys back.
Having the boys back. Cool.
Missed them a lot this summer.
Awesome. Jumping out like your fraternity and stuff like
Yeah.
that, getting enrolled. Cool. You guys just don't even hang out at all during the summer?
I mean, like a lot of them stayed here during the summer, so like I was hanging out with them. But like at the same time, like all my boys from like Tally started coming back, so I also want to hang out with them. So I'm not saying like the other guys as much, but
Cool.
like now all the guys are back, so it's really cool.
Cool. Awesome. Julia, what's hot? What do you appreciate?
What's hot? My sickness won't go away. It's fine. And what I appreciate is
Yeah, you should rest.
modern medicine. No, I'm just kidding. Is my family, because I'm going to have a lunch with them today because my cousin's leaving to Madrid for Christmas.
Cool.
So what's hot is a lot of homework to do today. So education. And then what I appreciate is my family.
Awesome.
What's hot is all of you guys for sure, and then what I appreciate is I have a bunch of family from Colombia, so appreciate that.
A bunch of family like in town from Colombia?
From Colombia, yeah.
Okay. I think you're just saying appreciate my family because they're from Colombia.
In town.
Okay, cool. Alex?
So what's hot is a lot of my boys are going out of town, so having a last final weekend. And what I appreciate is my family and having a dope group of staff to work with this fall.
Let's go. Cool. What's hot? I mean, I'm not going to give what's hot and what I appreciate, but, all right, Will.
Yeah.
What's hot is the fall campaign and this staff going into it. And what I appreciate is I appreciate the opportunity to kind of teach and coach and mentor like the next layer here. So excited for that. And with that, we'll kick things off. So we're going to dive right in for the day. I just want to get started by just saying I'm excited to work with all of you guys in the fall. You know, for me, this is kind of like I'd say this is our first opportunity to work with a really, really big staff and people that have like actually had one summer to the next. So kind of my experience too, working in and out of the business, I've been basically just running summer operations. So it's been like just a branch and then like, you know, fall, spring, and then branch and then fall, spring. So, you know, number one, that's been tough for me, but also tough for like most of my, like the people that have worked with me, just because they go from like this crazy massive summer to like absolutely having nothing in the fall and spring. And it's like a drastic change. And then on top of that, so they're either in our office and then like whether they were staying down in Miami or whether I was taking over the Tallahassee office last fall is what happened. And even that was just a different environment. I was still in school. I wasn't able to be as engaged. You know, my time wasn't directed like mostly towards our TLA candidates. And like now, you know, my time is more invested into those people and you all than really like anything else, including like just the office performance and results. So just know like that, you know, I'm investing a lot into you guys, and I'm gonna like, you know, I'm really, really excited about the ability just to work with you all. And you know, if you haven't seen like, in terms of a performance aspect and just an overall training and learning and, you know, growing, I mean, you can see people like Eddie, Eric, and other people that have, and Lauren, and other people that have had, kind of Rob, you know, previous summers with us or me in the business, you know, and like their performance aspect and their growth and their training. And that's like with them being like a year or two, really only in the summer times. You know, that's not that like I haven't really been able to work with them, most of them year round. And the closest person that fits someone that I've been able to actually work with on a year round schedule is maybe Eddie, because I see him up at school when I was up there too. So, you know, this for you all will be really my, you know, the first people I ever actually have a chance to like kind of work with on a more like consecutive basis and not like, hey, and going up and down. So I'm excited for that. and hopefully you all are too. With that said, I kind of want to we'll kick off things off for the meeting, and we'll talk about kind of like, I'll give you guys a walkthrough of what the meeting is supposed to be. So first thing we're going to do is from now, we got started a little bit late, but from now until 10:30, we're going to go over, we might go over a little bit over this, but expectations. So we want to talk about like the culture that we want to have on our team, the expectations that we want to have for the team, for you all, for myself included. We're going to talk about social media recruiting, so Instagram and Facebook recruiting. We'll talk to you guys about that. I'm going to teach you guys that program. We're going to go over PDI for about 30 minutes and talk about how to do PDI, because all of you guys will be on the PDI line sooner than later. And then the last thing would be we're going to do PR calling keys, and we're going to go over and dive into that. So we're going to go over all like PR calling a little bit more, like our first TLA prep of the campaign on Wednesday. So I'm not as worried about it if we don't get as much covered in detail of that, but we do want to work on it if we can. And then the last thing we'll do is, depending on time, we might set like 2 PRs or whatever, or 2 to 3 PRs each at the very end of this, so like the last like 30 minutes to like try to implement or practice some of the things that we go over. And that will pretty much be it. Cool. Any questions? Alrighty. So let's dive into things for today. And it's funny, as I get started, I'm actually pulling up my notes from our summer kickoff meeting that we had for our staff back in like March or April, whatever it was. When we had first come down here, we ran it out of Eddie's house because we literally didn't even have an office yet at the time, which is cool. And I'm looking at some of my notes there. So I guess the first thing that I want to start off with is I have some pretty clear cut expectations of what it takes to be on our staff, what it takes to be a good assistant manager, and just any office, and then also our office specifically. But before we do that, I want to talk about, I want to work as a group and kind of walk you guys through this exercise. So I want to talk about, first off, let's walk through, talk about like what do we want the culture here to be for like just the office in general, maybe not just specifically for ourselves. And we'll talk about what it's going to be required of ourselves to create that. But first I want to talk about like, hey, you guys are now on staff. Like this is now your office. Like you guys are now part of the team. You're not just like sales reps or salespeople that are reporting up. So you all are, and us combined really is like, we are going to set the tone for whatever this office and however we want it to run, and however we want it to be. And the first thing you'll know about me is I'm pretty open to new ideas and new thoughts and like innovation and things like that too. And I always want to hear, from the bottom up too, like what if you had the ideal experience that you wanted this fall, what would that look like? And what kind of environment is in this office? So take like 30 seconds to a minute, maybe like just think about that, maybe put something journal down in your notes, and then we'll kind of share a little bit here, and we'll share in the office like what exactly we want to do with that. So I guess actually let's do this. I'm gonna put some music on, hopefully not High School Musical, but we'll put some music on, so 1 or 2 minutes, and then in your notes somewhere I'll journal number 1, like what is like the office environment or a culture that what do you want the office to look like? And I don't know, what's the tone, what's the feeling when you walk in, how do people like think about different things, like how do people communicate with each other, what's the expectations and the standards for our people, what kind of I don't know, what's a focus like, how does a phone jam feel, how is a meeting feel, how do people feel like with a camaraderie in their team, I don't know, all those things. So think about it for like 2 minutes, we'll pair and share, and then we'll share the whole group. Put some music on here.
That's insulting. I need more.
Oh my gosh.
I need.
All right. So now, for those that are watching online, the question that we just asked is number one, what is the culture and what is the environment like? What kind of office do we want to create? What are some things that, like, how is the office ran? What does it look like? All that good stuff. And then the second question is, what can we do as a leadership team, both individually and as a group, to help create that environment and that culture? So what we'll do real quickly is we have uneven group here. So let's just do this. Let's pair and share. We'll do like a group of I don't know. Let's do
3 and 2.
we can just do 3 and 2, and then we'll share with a group. So let's do this first. I'll put we can just we'll put you two together and we'll put you three together. Actually, how about this, Lauren? You can pair share with me. Slide over here, cool. Lauren will slide over here with me, and then everyone else can. We'll do 2 groups of 2. Cool. All right, let's do that. Pair and share what you All right. Who can share something that was shared with you that you thought was good? So something someone else shared with you that you thought was good.
Cat wrote Rob Rod on his paper
Huh?
I wrote Rob Rod on my paper.
for expectations and cultures.
Rob.
It was just kind of like it was like a big brother kind of thing. It's like when it kind of felt like Eddie was like coming down hard on us, like you can talk to Rob and like kind of just like makes you see everything in like different perspective. Like Rob, like, he helped me out a lot this summer.
Cool. What else? All right, let's just do this. Instead of sharing what other people wrote, let's share it as a group. Now I'm gonna put some things on the board here. So let's just go down the list. Let's come up with everything.
Fun environment.
Starting with the first question. What did you say?
Fun environment.
Fun environment. I like that. All right, so fun. What else? I should not write on the board. I kind of want to write.
Can I write?
Can I do it? No.
You guys want to write? Yeah,
I wanna
someone's
do it.
right. Yeah, let's do that.
Cat, I'm doing it.
Cat wrote on
All right, no, let me have Lauren do it. Ready? Cool. All right, so we're right on the board. Take this down too. I'd encourage you guys maybe to write down what we put on the board. So first thing we're gonna write down is fun environment. Let's elaborate on that. What does a fun environment mean?
We're all like pumped up, like everyone's enthusiastic.
Energetic, friendly.
Yeah,
Cool.
I think that's.
Very
I was gonna say that. Another thing is just when you're like actually like friends with everybody you're working with, it just always makes coming to work a lot more fun. Like I would always come in like looking forward to seeing like Amy, Julia, Jordan, like everybody, and like that's kind of.
But no one here.
Huh?
Yeah.
Always you guys too,
The
but-
rest of us.
It's all right. I mean, that's okay. You know.
No, no, no.
No, it's not just fun, but it's like when you're friends with everyone, you actually care about them. You want them to do better, and you like push them more. And like
Circles of
everyone
influence.
just yeah, it's just like
Yep.
everyone makes everyone do
Cool. So like fun and friendly environment specifically. Like people being friends. Even you said Alex, energy and stuff like that
Yeah.
too. Yeah, elaborate on that.
Yeah, I mean, like it just should be like a place that you could come to like after a bad day and just like look forward to coming here. And like
True.
like even if you're just working, like you feel like it boosts you up, it gives you like a boost, and like you end up having a good day because of it.
Cool. Like that too. So one, culture of fun environment. What else do we have? What else do you guys have on your list? Yeah.
Like more consistency with like the raffles and like things like that. I remember like when there were less people here, like it would be more dead and like we just wouldn't really do any like kind of like raffles and things like that. So definitely like even if there aren't so many people here, to just like have that to look forward to and have that to be fun, because if not, it's just like
Okay.
You know.
Cool. So still having like just consistency in raffles.
and like little like giveaways.
Cool. Let's put that on there. Just like I don't know, constant like promotions and stuff
Also
like
like
that
the games that we have like in between, like when we do a chaka, like things like that, like tiny but like it's fun.
Yeah, I feel that. We always so part of the thing I think was when you first started, Danny, we were doing like the SC2 mode, and then we like that's what we do, like raffles like every hour and stuff like that. We don't always do that, and I can't promise that I'll be able to
Yeah,
give away that much stuff every single Sunday or Wednesday. But yeah, we just kind of like do stuff. But
Giveaway high fives.
yeah, yeah. So we're a little bit more budget friendly here in the fall. But I agree. There's still like we still need to have a consistency, promotions, contests, things like that drive it. So yeah. What else? What are some other things you guys have?
positive vibes.
Positive vibes. What do you mean by that?
I don't know, just like
Show
whatever, just no negative like people being here, like coming here and be like, I don't want to be here. Like, shut up.
You're funny.
Like I don't know how to really say it. Like,
Okay.
But,
just
like,
positively. Hello everyone.
All right. Cool. Were you gonna finish?
I don't
Okay,
know
cool.
what else to say.
All right. Anyone else were you gonna say? Or Lauren.
Oh, sorry.
no, go ahead.
Okay. So I think a big thing is like the friendly environment and all that stuff is like really great, and I totally agree with that. Like when I came here, like I'd be having a bad day and I'd be like, damn, like this is fun. So just another thing is just being effective and like being on time, which is like everyone was friends, but a lot of the times, especially towards the end of SC2, like hardly anyone was effective. And then people would complain that they're here for 9 hours when they're not even doing like 3 hours of work. So it's just like also having everyone be effective, so like they're happy and they don't feel like they're here all the time. So it's like, yeah, it's friendly, but like let's get our stuff done so we can go home and do our homework, rather than they're like, oh my god, I'm failing and it's because of Kako.
Right. So I think effectiveness is key. I think one thing too that's important to note that I'll say like on the friendly vibe, and we tried to go after that this summer. And I think the reason that we couldn't just make it happen this summer is because in my mind, there's almost like a stage of progression that needs to happen when it comes to building the office. Because when you're first starting out, I mean, the first key is like get some freaking people in your office, right? And like actually have an office first off before you talk about all like the environment, culture. The second key is once you have that, it's like, yeah, it takes time to have people kindle relationships and like foster that. And, you know, for instance, like, you know, Kat, remember, what's going on, man? Come on, just grab a seat somewhere. Or grab a seat, grab that, pull out the seat for the back row. Like for instance, Kat, you were here at the beginning of the summer, so you kind of got a chance to see the kind of progression unfold. But for the first like probably a month and a half, it's pretty slow. And then, you know, it's like, you know, now until like halfway through the summer, after like the team is kind of already built, there's already a culture there, and the leaders and the groups are kind of already established. Then it's really easy for like people like, you know, the three of you all, which all started like kind of later on in the summer, mid-July, to kind of get in. And you were there for like a week or two. We're instantly like around like everybody and like surrounded by them too. So, and I think then from there, the next level of that is like having more friends too. But like, can we create a culture of like separation of like layers, right? Where like the leaders are really sticking out. You know, I think about like the long-term vision for like a good district office is that like there are those leaders present in it at all times. So, you know, there's reps like, and again, just imagine just like where we would be like 1 year from the rep. Like where there's like multiple people in our office that are over 50K in sales, over 100K in sales, over 150K in sales in our office. There's multiple people that like have like, there's not just like, hey, that one sharp rep on their team. There's a lot of other people, you know, and the cool thing is that like, you know, when new people join the team, you know, now, right, like there didn't used to be that. Like when a new person joined the team, like you had to reach out to like someone on staff to like get extra help for coaching. You know, now a new person joins the team and they can talk to any other person that's been to like 4 or 5 conferences that knows a lot more than they do, that can like, you know, it's not like, oh, I need help with recommendations. Damn, you got to go talk to Eddie. You know, no one else here can help you. Right now it's like, okay, well, you could talk to anyone else on the team because they know all how to get wrecked, and they can all be like, oh, you're struggling with this. You know, so now it's not even that. We don't have that conversation. It's kind of like leaders are implementing that things. So I think the next level that would be really cool, and we talked about it before the summer started, but it didn't necessarily happen, and it's hard to just maybe create that in 3 summers, is really having like a there's someone outside or something. I don't know. Maybe just close the door or something.
Yeah.
I always like hear people come by. I think there's people going in. I think the next level is like having that like just environment where we talk about like things like the locker room, right? Or things like the key staff tables and the way like we treasure it too. And it's like, you know, not only are we friends, we also hold ourselves to a high standard. You know what I mean? And like having this place, like for instance, like, you know, I think some ways that we can get tracked from times, like having phone jams, for instance, being the time where like everyone wants to hang out, right? And if like the leaders can set the expectation of culture, like, yo, no, this is when we get our work done. Like you can goof off, go off somewhere else. Like I'm getting my shit done and everyone else is too. Like we're hanging out tonight. Like that's the point of like team night out XYZ, or like that's what we'll do like another time or something like that too. But now is our time to like, you know, like being like so focused on your own goals and then also like leading the way and showing other people how to do it. Just like leading by example too. Cause a lot of times people like just genuinely, they join the team, they don't know what to expect. They don't know how to operate, you know, the right way. And you guys have all, you know, experienced that at a high level, or at least experienced a taste of that. And so you guys know how to really show them and like show them like the right way to do the job, the right way to get things done, things like that too. So that's kind of a side tangent there. We'll keep going, open up. What are some other things you guys want to see? Robert coming in late, but just we're talking about culture and expectations that we should have with our team. It's like what kind of environment do we want to have in the office, and what do we want it to look like? How do we want people to feel, etc. What are some other things that you guys wrote down?
Something really good that Danny said was really take your commitments seriously and be like consistent with that. So like we still have like a strong fall and stuff. So like when people like commit to something and they'll commit to like a higher number, like they just like have to get that. Like just honor your commitment.
Cool. That's a big one.
Like just not like don't take it lightly.
What we write down just effective commitment. I don't know. Honor commitments. Yeah. That's honor commitments. Commitment to it. And that's honestly a big deal. And I remember even I had a coaching call with with my coach earlier this summer, and he was talking about like just the difference between like, I mean, in an organization, like we have goals and we have commitments, right? And like when people have commitments, are their commitments actual commitments, or are they just like a goal, right? Because like people are like a lot of times people aren't actually committed to their goals, but it's a commitment. Like when people put up sales results on the number, like on a board or something like that, or people, hey, you can count on me to get 8 demos done, and then they do like 1 demo, right? Like in a friendly way, like those people should, I don't know, probably get like roasted like by the rest of the team kind of thing. Like as in like hey, like you're letting the team down. You told everyone like, hey, this is what you can count on me guys for, and then like you just didn't even try and so that too, which is fine. It's like, and that's the big thing. This is, by the way, something like I'm really like you guys know after working for me for long enough that like I'm pretty big on like commitments and stuff like that too. And like so I would rather someone tell me like, hey, I'm gonna do 1 demo this week and I can only commit to doing 2 demos, than someone telling me like, hey, I'm gonna commit to like selling this much, commit to doing this much, and then they don't even like try or work after it too, because then it's like, hey, we're counting on you to do it. And then it's like, but we can't actually count on you because you're just kind of throwing it out there and not actually like going to commit to putting it in. So committing to people, what people say they're going to do, I think is important. Danny, had something else?
I did.
Anything else from anyone? Maybe Robert coming in late. What do you have? Or what are you thinking in your mind?
Well, basically I wrote down everything that was on the board. But besides that, I'm thinking a way to be able to like keep your recruits, like when you know how there's like a steep drop off the first week, people like quit or like they don't continue because they don't see that long term goal.
Yep.
So I'm thinking about something.
So we're just retaining like a lot of talents like that first week. Okay, cool.
Yeah, because you work so hard to get that PR to get that person in, and then they decide that they're not committed.
What do you think helps? What do you think helps with that? Right? What do you think? Like, what do you think we can do as a leadership team to help? I guess maybe inspire for longer term vision and then like retain some of our talent that comes through the door. Let me start off with Robert and then have everyone else share too.
Yeah, maybe just like address some of the questions that they have because they're like really confused when they come in. I mean, like personally, when I came in, I realized that there was a nice environment, right? Music was playing, the EDM music. I was like, okay, this is cool. It brings down the nervousness, right? The anxiety.
Right.
And then I feel like just addressing any questions. You guys did that pretty well, but maybe that could be something.
Cool. So addressing questions. What else were you gonna Kat?
Another thing, maybe just like kind of sharing our own experiences, like that we had this summer with like new people and stuff, and kind of see why this was valuable to us and why we like people like me have stuck around for so long. Just to see that it's like much more than that first week, because like the first week is basically a push. Like everybody gets tired after a push and like they don't want to work, like do something like do work. So like just kind of keep like what is it called when you're like
Light bulb?
not light bulbs.
You want to go
Vision.
No, I forgot one.
No, but that's what I was gonna say.
I forgot the word, but just kind of keep little reminders. I forgot the word, but little reminders of just like why they're here, why they like what they can get done here, and the opportunities they have here.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
What?
Yeah, like definitely
Like,
like relating to them overall. Like a big thing for me is like I don't know, like friendliness, I guess in a way. So like even though we're management, like finding a way to like talk to them and actually relate and like tell them like our own experiences and like believe it or not, like I feel like that would really like lighten up the mood and they would feel more comfortable like talking to us like about different things and like even when they are nervous, I know I was nervous, like definitely having that person to talk to like makes all the difference, I feel.
Yeah, I agree.
Like that's another thing like that I wrote Rob, because like sometimes like I honestly I just wouldn't want to talk to Eddie about something. I just got to go to Rob. Like I talked to him and I was like struggling with something and be like, yo Rob, like what do I do? Because like Rob was always just like super cool, super chill, like super friendly, but he was still like when he would talk to me, it's not like he'd just be like, oh yeah, no, I feel you. Like he'd also like in a way motivate me to and kind of like make me see things in a different perspective while also like being super chill about it. So like that's something that helped me out a lot.
Because like think about it, without Rob, like who knows, like you probably would have had like
And Lauren,
all of you guys like way worse days. Like I think it's so important to like have that impact on like all these new people coming in. Like it really does make a difference.
Yeah. Great. Cool. Anything else we're missing on the board? I mean, there's a lot of other things too. I think, like for instance, when we started this summer, we had a lot more to come up with, and that's the thing, because there wasn't already an established culture. We definitely already have a lot of culture and components. So I think a lot of what we're hitting on is like the things that maybe we are areas for improvement and some things that are missing, and less about like talking about what makes us like the organization that we are. So maybe let me just run down some of the things that I have on my notes.
Can I say something really quickly? So this was like also a very big thing. Like, sometimes like that stops people like from quitting, like just being that friend for them. But you also need to know that line.
Yeah.
So you have to be careful, because like a lot of the times, like I would be super friendly with someone, and the minute I told them something to do, it was like, wait, why are you telling me to do something? So you have to still keep that line. Like you still need to call them out, like just because they're your friend, even if you have like PRs in here, which is something that Eddie did really well. Like, sometimes you thought he was a Nazi, okay, but he was too close to you guys, and he needed to create that line.
To Lauren's point too, like it's true. And I think there's like different levels of it, right? But like, for instance, I mean, that's for like you guys giving Eddie's example. Everyone like scared of Eddie and stuff like that too. But there's part of the. I mean, there is a reason that this office is the #1 for producing office in the entire company. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's a reason. And it doesn't necessarily like mean like only one leadership style is the only way that you can accomplish a goal. That's not what I'm saying at all. And I think there's different ways to skin the cat. But as much as there's like a lot of opportunities for maybe something like Eddie to improve it, and like at times like it wasn't as relatable or like driven, like he also was driving the #1 sales office in the entire country. You know what I mean? And like making like and like just basically crapping all over every other office in the country's like sales results based on like like driving it, right? And he was also creating like multiple scholarship winners this summer and like all that stuff. So a lot of times like that motivation and coaching, like there is a separation there too, and sometimes it can be tough leadership, right? But I think there is a fine line. I think there is. It doesn't mean you have to be operate in that realm and you can't be friendly with people, but it is very easy to like there's a certain reason why I don't. I'm still 22, like there's like I'm still like young too. I'm a human being. I have a life as well, but there's a reason I don't talk about certain topics in front of other people. There's a reason I don't like, curse in front of other people. There's a reason that, I don't talk like there's just a lot of things that I find lines that it's not like I'm like this like perfect human being. And like, none of that stuff ever happens in my life, but I just, I draw the line there too, because if people consider you too much as a friend and they consider you on the same level as you, they're not going to respect you. They're not going to take leadership or advice from you. And it's going to be harder to coach those people too. So it is always just a fine line. And it is really a skill set and a learning game of trying to decide like, where is that line and trying to figure that out too. And there'll be times where like you're too far on one side and you're driving people away because you're too much like that. You don't actually have real relationships with people. And there's other times where you'll see it where you're like way too close with people and you can't manage or actually run your organization or business because you're way too close with your people and you can't actually like, create and develop that. So good points all around. Cool. Any other things in terms of culture? What else we can expect? Anything else to add, Lauren? So let me just run down the list. Here's some things that we had from our thing last year. I put down camaraderie from all the people. I think that's important. Best version of yourself. That's one that I would put up there for sure is BVOY. So best version of yourself. That is something that like, I'm pretty important. I'm pretty keen on. I think I'm going to talk about that specifically what that means from you guys as a staff, but also just for our reps. You know what I mean? It's just like, hey, when you show up, like, doesn't matter as long as you give your best. Doesn't mean you need to have all your time invested in this. Doesn't mean this Cutco needs to be your life or number one priority. But whatever you do, you're always giving your best, right? And you're giving the best version of yourself or fighting and trying to work to become that, right? And always seeing an opportunity to increase. And I think that'd be a really cool environment when that is the status and the culture of our office. And I think we already have a lot of that taste, in here. We put another one that I put in the culture is high level of sales aptitude. And again, this is like things that like we probably didn't think about because they already happen in our office. Like there already is a high sales culture and standard. There already is. But it only takes you like to go to another organization for a month, go to another office and hang out at their office for a month to realize that those things are not prevalent in their culture. Like you sell like you have a $3,000 week in some offices, like you're like the baller of the week in like for like this whole summer. Okay. And like obviously that's not the case here too. So we have a high standard of sales results and expectations. I think hard work ethic and grind. That's another thing that I think goes being unsaid that I don't think it's something we need a lot more of in our office. It's already, I think this is one thing that's like, again, prevalent in our office now, but there's a lot of places where that like hard work ethic and a grind mentality is not prevalent, right? And that's like not like the status quo for people. Professionalism, I don't think I have to talk about too much about that from this group, but just like culture, like thinking about your speech, your word choice, like how you like talk to other people, how you like refer to them, how you talk to the reps, right? And watching like your language in front of them, and also just other people, like a certain level of respect in the staff. Like at the end of the day, there's a lot of really diverse people in here, and so as cool it is, and as most people are friends, like there is always going to be like, I mean, there's going to be people that aren't friends, right? So having that, number one, being civil, but also just being professional. You know, we're still young. This is a cool office. You know, we have fun, but at the end of the day, we still want it to be like a professional environment where people can walk in and they don't feel like, you know, sometimes when you get too friendly to everyone, like new oncomers don't feel as welcomed, right? So having that friendly environment, but still professional, where it's like something like someone feels comfortable walking into, and they're not like, whoa, this is crazy, everything going on, I can't, handle this. I got a couple more on my list. I don't know if these are sparking any other ones for you guys.
I think people just have to remember that this is still a job.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people like think this is a hobby. Like, yeah, I'm only gonna do 3 demos. It's like not even 3 hours of work. It's like you have to also remember that, and it's just like being friendly. It's fine. Like it's a fun environment, but it's still a job, and you still have to do what you need to do. Like it's not just to come and talk to your friends. Yeah,
and yeah, exactly. It goes just back to that fine line. And I think we can get beyond that, as we set the standards of the office too, because when there's like 1 or 2 people promoting it versus, the top 10 people in the office are all embodiments of that culture, it's a lot easier. Last 2 things I have on here is fun, focus, intensity, phone jams. I think one area of opportunity for us right now, just as we finish this exercise, is definitely gonna be our phone jams and just like the efficiency aspect. That effectiveness when we're right down there, and then this is the thing that Lauren shared with me earlier. Do you want to like share with it what you told me originally?
About the phone jam? Yeah, it's just kind of goes back to a little bit what I said. So pretty much like when you get your demos booked up, if you're effective, if you get your stuff done fast, like you can leave. Everyone has school, like everyone's like super stressed, like it's fine. Like just as long as you get your stuff done, rather than people were here for a 9-hour phone jam. They're complaining they're here for 9 hours, but they didn't even do anything. And it's like, be effective and you can leave. Like, it's so simple rather than just like being here the entire time and then you're complaining and then they're tired and then it just messes up the entire culture of everyone else because like you didn't manage your time right.
Yep.
You guys did.
Yep. No, I agree. It's like, this is not daycare. Racing. Like we were just talking about this earlier, but there's people, for instance, on our SE2 Alliance that were like, showing up every morning, but really weren't trying to push. And like, it blows my mind. It's like, then just don't, like, it's very simple. Like in my mind, it's like, all right, then don't be on the, like, if you don't want to make, like, why would you come in on a Sunday to make 9 hours of phone calls if you were only planning on doing like 4 to 5 demos a week? Like that doesn't make it, like, that's a complete waste of your time. And you're also wasting everyone else's time by like trying to say that's what you want when it's not actually what you want. Right. So just having people hold them to their commitments. I think just like, it'd be a cool, like, versus when like, I tell people, hey, tell them not to steal your money. And like, if that was just the culture or vibe that you guys had and like you guys protected your phone time enough like that too, when like what people come in and like, and you guys have seen it too before, like some people times when the AMs are making phone calls, like this summer, like when people would try to talk to like Rob or Eddie and you'd be like, yo, no, like I'm booking these demos. Like I'm going. And if like you guys set that tone and expectation, it would literally do immense things for us because it would be so much more powerful than like me telling people, hey, focus, hey, make another call, hey, blah, 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 and like it like dialed in when they just look around and they see like every other person that they want to be like, or every other person that they look up to doing that and leading by example. Or if you have your appointments booked up, or maybe you're not trying to jam or whatever the case is, but like you're helping drive that culture and leading it. And just setting people's expectations, like when people get in little groups and huddles and stuff like that, rather than me breaking up, being like, yo guys, like we're trying to focus over here. Can you guys, or whatever the case is, it's so much more powerful when it comes from you all than when it comes from, the top down. Right. So any other, any other minute thoughts on that? You said, Danny?
No, I just thought it was like really important what you said.
Cool. All right. So let's talk about that. Maybe if someone, Lauren, can you take a photo of that and post in the group really quickly? Or do I take a photo of that? And just post it in that Snapchat. You want me to actually get it?
Wait, that's actually so funny. I got it. I got it.
Great. So is that in there? Okay, cool. And then let's talk about the only other things. So let's talk about what do we do as AMs to create this culture. So I want you to think about, what can you do on maybe like an action level or like a how you carry yourself level, and then like what should like the expectations be of you all, like what to create all this stuff. Maybe we'll put it. I don't know. Maybe do it right here or something like that. Just do like what should be our expectations of our assistant managers, like what should be our expectations of us as a staff and a team. Kat, you want to start off?
I thought you were asking me a question.
Sorry, what was going to be your answer to the question you thought I was asking?
Asking me like how to create.
Let's start off with that. How to create that, and then we'll go into expectations.
Well, I wrote down being motivating, not pushy. Because like if you are pushy and just kind of like telling you what to do and like not really, like I feel like when we're trying we have to tell them what to do and like how to do it, but like if we're more like relatable to them and kind of talk about our experiences and like the way we've handled things like this summer and stuff, I feel like they'll be more motivated to like keep working. Like we're just being pushy and kind of just like telling them what to do, like they'll get like annoyed and like not want to do anything anymore.
So let me ask you that to dig deeper, right? How do you, in your case, how do you be motivating to someone and not pushing?
Like, rather than just kind of like telling them like, yo, keep making phone calls, like keep doing, like just stop talking, like whatever, like kind of like the thing you would say like, oh, like stop taking his money, like it makes you just think of things in a different way, and also just like sharing your own experiences, like I guess.
Yeah. So I think one thing to add to that too is, and something I've heard on like a podcast is like not necessarily wanting to be motivational, but trying to be inspirational. Right. And so motivation is fleeting and it's lacking, and people can have motivation. They don't have motivation. When people operate off of motivation, then like you're only going to get them like 50% half the time. So some days they'll be motivated. Some days they're not motivated. No one here in this room or ever in life is motivated all the time. Right. But when you're inspired, it's different. Right. When you're inspired, like when the people are inspired to go after something, like when you're inspiring someone to think bigger or think after a goal, it makes like the decision process that they're making easier. And I think one good way that you can inspire is like you said, like leading by example and like being relatable and being someone that they could look up to. And you're an embodiment of something that's inspirational to them because they want to achieve whatever it is you're achieving, or they want to achieve the vision that you casted for them, or achieve like becoming something similar like what you are. Right. And that's an inspirational thing versus just maybe some motivational.
And another way to like implement what like Kat was saying, I think you might have mentioned this before, but I thought it was like really true. So like instead of just like telling them like what to do and being pushy, like definitely just be like asking them like maybe questions, like not only relating to them, but be like, hey, so like who have you called so far? Like if they're having a rough time, just be like encouraging, just like, but not really like too much, just like asking them questions like, yeah, have you tried calling this one? Like who do you plan on calling next? Like just ask some more questions without being pushy, like, oh, make calls,
Yep. Definitely.
Yeah, I think a big part is leading by example, like we were saying before. Like if we're going hard on the phone jams and they're looking at us like going hard, they're gonna get inspired by us. And like a lot of people are mentality like, oh, why should I do it? Like, so we should just lead by example.
Yeah, I think that's another good point is that you made, is that like if they look like they also like in a negative way, right? Like also you can look at the top people. So if like the top people, barely try, because to be honest, like you guys know your shit. Like you could like, maybe have like a rough phone jam, you can still get your sales results for the week. But like most of these kids don't. Like a lot of people in our office, like if they have a bad Wednesday phone jam, they don't sell anything for like the whole week because they don't find another way to get it, right? So might look at you all and be like, oh well, like they're not really doing much, like. And they're top sellers, like I can probably just, do what they're doing, you know what I mean? And like follow that and I get the same results, but they don't get the same results. So good point. Cool. What any other ways to create this culture?
I think, so like never being like tired, I should say, but being excited to come in. Or if you're not, make it happen. Like there were times this summer where we would leave the office like at 10 or 11 p.m. at night and I had to be back here at 8 a.m. And trust me, like I was not excited, but I still like came in. I was still happy. I was still positive. Like I had my rough days too, where I just did not want to come in. And eventually, like I'm lucky that we had a staff where like it was fun, and then like that changed my mood. But sometimes like you're not gonna have that, and you just have to remember like you still have to be excited, because if you're not, then that trickles down, and everyone else is like, I want to get the F out of here. Like,
Yeah, 100%. And I'll actually, that was literally the exact culture that I had when I was in Tallahassee, and that's why our office did awful. And I didn't have the time and the ability to get in the office enough to like do that or impact it. But it was like it was 5 people on staff that were all in school that all did not give like 2 shits basically about anything in the office too. So every single other person in there was like clock watching, getting in and out, all that stuff. So here we can write on the board for this one. That should be an expectation that we always have is that you guys can want to write down. It's never tired, never broke, never hungry. Never tired, never broke, never hungry. That needs to be the like kind of culture and expectation of people on the staff, right? Is that like, hey, like, and you guys, I mean, and I don't want to use necessarily me as an example, but like that is something that like, from top down leadership, like I try to embody as well. You know what I mean? Like you guys, multiple people have said like, hey, when I come in the room, like there's always energy and stuff like that too. I hope you guys realize like there's a lot of times where I don't have energy, right? And like I don't feel amazing every single day. I wake up and just like, woo, like spring out of bed, There's a lot of days where I like roll over and I'm just like, F this. But I'm like, oh my gosh, like I do not want to do anything today. Like I'm just like driving. I'm like, I do not like even want to like be in the office today or whatever. Like I'm a human too. Yeah, like if I just it's like only one hard turn. No, but anyways, like, the point is I'm saying I'm human too, and not everyone. You're kidding yourself if you think like anyone wakes up like every day and is like that actually excited. But it's finding that energy. You know what I mean? And it's like bringing it to the team because you know that there's other PDECO.
Julia, oh my God. Hey Darian, what's up?
Like,
So
laughs every time I answer the phone when like a customer calls me that I had called like earlier that day. So I'm like, hey, how you doing? And she's just like, why are you talking like that?
No, I spoke to Alex. Alex yesterday was like my first call, and I didn't like realize she was calling the office, and I was like, call from Alex. So I picked up the phone, like, yo, what's up? And she was like, hey, so I'm here with a customer. And whatever. She's like, tell me this whole thing. And she was here in the office yesterday earlier, and I go, is this a joke? And she goes, no. And I was like, okay. I was like, oh my gosh.
Julia.
I thought she was messing with me. I just got back from like being here. Like she was here. She like I don't know. I thought she was kidding.
We can keep going without Lauren here for a second, but so yeah, never tired, never broke, never hungry, right? And again, you guys just are really the model for the Vector opportunity and the model for like what it means to be a good salesperson. So I'm going to talk about like weekly expectations and actually just like what is going to be required of you guys. But that's the first thing. Is as mentality wise, like mentality wise, what do you do?
I was just like, see how many demos we have today? Yeah, they're not going to be all closed out by me.
All right, we'll get them all good. We'll restaff here in a little bit. So never tired, broke, or hungry, and I'll actually take some calls maybe during our PDI session. So building here.
What did you say?
I don't really say anything out of it, but yeah, just like if you guys are tired, the reps are gonna be tired. If you guys are like, oh, I'm broke, blah blah, I don't have any money, then it's like everyone else is gonna feel that way too. Hopefully that's not the case. If you're on staff too, like you should not just like feel broke, but you should hopefully not also be broke. And you're probably not selling or something. And then the last thing is not hungry too, like in the office. I'm not saying like don't take it from me because I'm terrible at eating food, but it's just not complaining, right? You know what I mean? It's just like when you complain, other people notice that things, and it's just like people do notice like the little things that you say. Let's talk about other expectations that we can have. I've got my notes here. What are some other things that you guys can have?
Oh, okay, so something that I learned like this past summer with Rob is just like me and Rob obviously are like super close, like we're literally like BFFs for life. Okay, but it's just like being productive is a very big thing. Like me and Rob would like do our stuff, but like eat shit in between, and then like it was fun, but then we'd find ourselves here till like 9 o'clock at night when that wasn't even necessary. And it was just like if we would have, and I remember one day like we were actually on top of our stuff. Well, it wasn't just one day. We did it multiple days. We were on top of our stuff. But like those days are
one day this summer.
One day out of all. No, it's just like those times when we found ourselves like doing everything like right after the other. We would be like, oh damn, it's like only before, and we've gotten like every like. So you can't leave things like there's no one else to do it. Like it's your job, and if you don't do it, it's not gonna get done.
Right.
So and then don't be mad when you're here till like 8 or 9 and you can't hang out with your friends and like Saturdays are for the boys and all that stuff. But like you can't because you didn't do your work. Okay, so just be productive. It's a big thing.
Yeah, and like it kind of goes back to the same expectation that we have of like our salespeople when they're like making like with their phone calls. It's the same thing we have like with all our stuff that we're doing. It's like we could get it done in a lot less time, but it just involves us being more productive with the time that we have, right? Like I don't want people to be in here for like 9 hours on a Sunday to do like the same amount of work that they could get done in a short period of time. So cool, good point, Lauren. What else do you guys have? What are some other expectations we should have of our leadership team?
Definitely like maybe to like be in sync, like for all the management to like know what's going on in the office and to definitely have like clear communication and things like that. Yeah,
let's talk about that in the meantime. So communication wise, just so you guys have an update, there's multiple group chats right now. There's a lot of them. All right, so here's the group chats that we have, okay? First one is, the fall Millie Gang staff. That's just your primary staff chat and communications. That's what we use for like that everyone's in, okay? Then we also have our next kind of chat is the AM stats. It's a stats chat, which is the same thing. It's the exact same people, but that's just what we use to do all of our stats. So for instance, when we're doing Facebook blasting or Instagram messaging, everyone posts screenshots of like the messages they sent. When we do demo closeout for the weekends and PDI, we post all the stats in there because that way, like, we're not like having conversations like meeting based, and then like it just gets overwhelmed and flooded out with like stats and stuff like that too. So the stats one you don't actually have to check as much. It's more so for me, to be honest, to be like able to check and oversee it all, or if we need something and trying to communicate. So that one's for stats, one's for just like general communication. Then we have the next group, which is 1, 2, 3. This 4 people in the group, just because they're like the main recruiters for this fall campaign, and so you all will be communicating a whole lot around all that. And then we have one specifically, and there's a separate active ad chat, just because Karina has people in there too, and sometimes we link up with them and like organize it that way. So if we're like meeting up with them on campus or organizing or delegating that, we have some other people that we're just orchestrating with. So that's that. Cool. So communication. What else? Where do you put that on there? Good communication.
So kind of, I guess, falls with communication, but I think just like also don't argue in front of the reps. Like if you guys like have a miscommunication, don't like take it to that room or something. Like you don't need to like argue in front of the reps if you disagree. Like something that me and Rob ever did, like what we would see, like you could just tell that we disagreed, and then we would just stay quiet, and then we'd talk about it later. Okay, so like you don't want to argue because then they're like, oh wow, like management doesn't even have their crap together. Like, and I think Rob also told me that about the Tallahassee office. Is like the management up there was just like terrible. Like Rob's like, I don't even know how I stayed. It's just like they would fight and they would talk crap about each other. And like you do not want to do that. Like if you hate him, like keep it to yourself or say it to Danny. Like I don't know, but like no one that's like a rep, They should see everyone as like united.
So underneath communication, I got one right underneath that is here, no grudges. Right? So like speak your mind. It's the first thing I say in even a training. I'm like, hey guys, here's some expectations that you can have 100% honest communication. And I tell people, right, I'm like, this is like 10 minutes of training. I'm like, hey, I'm a blunt guy. I don't sugarcoat things. I'm going to call the shots like I see them. I want it to be a two-way street though. I want you to be able to like feel like you can voice your mind. Now, again, it doesn't mean be an asshole. Like, it doesn't mean it means like have the right time and place, like use discretion, like talk to people one-on-one. But like, for instance, like these staff meetings are opportunities to like for people to talk and say what's on their mind. And I'm telling you, like, just if we hang out, if we do this thing long enough, like if we do well enough as we want to do this fall, like there is going to be times throughout the semester which people are going to have like angst or annoyance or not necessarily, I hope like not actual physical beef with anyone, but people are going to get like annoyed or irked, and like there'll be like 2 weeks where Julia's like, God, it's just getting on my nerves so much. And then there'll be times where like Robert's like, damn, Lauren's so annoying, or like whatever that is. But like, just like address that. So, and you have to decide, like, again, like either talk to me about it, or, if you ever need me to send it to you guys can always come to me. But the best thing to do, I think, is the first thing is to talk to that person one-on-one. right? Like address them one-on-one. Don't go like weeks with it building up
Yeah.
until it has some huge blow up. Talk to that person one-on-one, and then if you ever feel like it's like not being handled and you already had a conversation one-on-one, I'd bring it up in front of everybody or bring it to me at least or something like that too. Same thing is like with me, if you guys have questions, problems, communication things with me, communicate early, communicate often, what's on your mind. Don't hold things in, because oftentimes once it's like 3-4 weeks escalate down the road, that's when it's like now a huge deal. And now like, we have to deal with it accordingly. So don't hold in grudges, speak in your mind.
Like something that kind of like that I don't know, like turned me off this summer. All right, so I think we need like when we need like build the culture early and have like that honest open communication, so like when we're working with people, there's like a certain level of trust. Because like just sometimes like I'd give Eddie a demo goal, and it would be like kind of small because I had like a lot of stuff going on that week, and then he'd ask me why it's small, and then he'd somehow get me to like make it higher than I even wanted it to, and then or like you wouldn't believe like that I was all booked up. He's like, show me your plan, like. And it was I get why he's doing. I get why he was doing
But it
it.
wasn't like an attack on you. It's just some people don't know how open their schedule is.
But yeah, I know, but
Yeah.
I feel you.
So he has to
Yeah, I
check,
feel
because
that.
like a lot of people, they'll be like, I have so much going on this week, or like Max Sir, damn, this recorded, whatever. He gave me a goal of like 3, and I was like, what do you have going on? Like 3?
I remember.
I was like, and he was like, just have like a lot, and then I'm like, okay, what? And he goes, no, nothing really. Just like I feel like 3 is what I can do, and I'm like, what? It's like you just have to ask
And-
people. It's a job.
Sometimes I just
And I get
asking, but
that.
at a certain point, it gets pushy, and then it just like kind of like I don't
Yeah,
know.
I get
don't-
that.
I don't
And
wanna use-
by
I don't
the
wanna
way-
use other,
Like,
Jordan.
don't take it to an extreme.
Yeah.
Like, I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
But don't be afraid to ask the
Yeah,
questions
yeah, yeah.
either.
Yeah, I think there's with a lot of stuff what you're saying though, there's like a fine line.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there is a fine line. Like I'll just give you an example. Like I mean, even with Jordan is extreme, but also like for instance, and like he texted Eddie all this stuff, and there's opportunities there for sure that we could have like led someone better, but also at the same time like it's also he like lied all the time, and also never did demos when he had them, and always said he was making calls and wasn't. Like it like it's like there's like it's a give and take. You know what I mean? When people are honest and it's easy to coach them, like.
That's
I
what
don't
I'm saying.
micromanage people when they like always get their stuff done. Like I don't even ask them to see their schedules. Julie, have I asked you like to like show me your schedule ever? No, literally never once, because like you show, hey, I got my demos. You do your demos. You get a sale. Like, it's pretty straightforward. You know what I mean? So and like it's not necessarily with you guys. It's what you'll be doing with the rep. So it is like learning good management skills is just literally just like trying to figure out where's that fine line of like when do you reprimand people, when do you call them out. When are you soft on people? When are you helpful? When are you motivating, coaching? Like, but at certain times, like, and there's a time to like be like, hey, no, this is a standard. This is what's got to get done. There's also time to be like understanding, helpful, and not necessarily like same thing. Like, there's certain times where like people have a lot going on, like they're taking classes and studying, and they have a low demo goal for a reason. And it's like, yo, dude, like just that's cool. Like, don't like drive them like to do something they don't want to do. There's also other times where like people are either being like, for lack of a better word, people are being, I don't know what the word, people are being pussies. And people, this is so bad it's recorded. Okay. Anyways, people are being that, or sometimes people aren't even trying to be like pussies basically. And people are just like literally just actually don't know. Like people always come into Wednesday nights and they just genuinely don't know. And they're like, oh, I only do like 6 of my schedule. And I'm like, all right, well, let's map out your schedule. I'm like, wow. Like, yeah, like make my goal like 10, then I can do 10. Like, and they just like, they don't even know like that they could do like, wow, I didn't even realize I could do all that many. Like, I'll put like, I'm like, look how many slots you have. And they're like, all right, yeah, make my goal like 9 or 10 then. And I'm like, okay, great. Like, congrats. Or like, they won't even like, they'll see like sometimes it's literally as simple as taking someone's Wednesday sheet and they'll give me a goal of like, what's your goal from Thursday to Sunday and Monday? And they're like, 6. And then I'm like, walk over the paper. I'm like, what's your goal for Thursday? And they're like, 2. What's your goal for Friday? I want to get at least 3. What's your goal for Saturday? I want to get at least get 2. And like Sunday, I want to do 4. And I'm like, okay, that is 14 right there. That's not 6. So let's put that on the board right there. And it's like literally, I don't even like, I just ask them what their daily goal is. And then they're like, oh, wow, that's a lot more than like, they'll try to do that over time. So to your point, you're right.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
and it
that's
is
why I
fun
want,
line.
like, I think we should like establish like the culture and like honest, open communication like really early, so that way like they feel like they're comfortable with talking to us about like all of what they have going on. Like,
Yep.
kind of like.
And the difference between the fall and the summer, by the way, is that you have to do that more. Meaning like, people like, for instance, during the summertime, like we're doing PDI, like I don't really ask people's school schedules in the summer or whatever. We just call people, during the fall, if someone just started this job and they get a call from us every single week while they're in their class, people are getting annoyed. It's like, God damn, like you guys won't stop calling me. I'm like, I'm in class during this time, but there's like 40 reps. So it's kind of hard to keep track sometimes. So for instance, like web PDI, we'll have everyone's class schedules, but things like that, knowing like what they have going on. So in the fall is versus like, in the summer, it's just a lot more like, all right, like demo sales. In the fall, a lot of times when it comes to coaching, mentoring, it's like a lot more like, all right, cool. How are you doing? How's your school class going? Like, how are your grades doing too? Because, here's something you need to know is with our salespeople, if anyone stops having good grades, like they're not going to be working here anymore. Like they're the first thing to go, like their parents see their grades. The first thing to go is going to be Cutco. You know what I mean? If they have bad grades in their classes. So it's going to be important that, they're not just doing well here, but they're also succeeding in their coursework too. Because if they're blowing that off, they're not handling their other responsibilities while they're here too. Like, so when we have PSP meetings on Sundays, like we just don't really worry about it that much during the summer. Half the time our PSP meetings are like, all right, you got your demos, like cool, good to go. They're a little more intentional, like on a Sunday now. And it's like, all right, cool, let's walk through your schedule. What do you have going on? When's your test this week? What do you have doing this? Okay, cool. Do you feel good? Like, let's get your sales here. And like actually coaching them through it and how to make that schedule. Cool. Other last minute things we have as expectations for AMs.
I just like wanted to add, it's like not a new goal or whatever, but just like, and I think this is kind of the beginning of the summer, even like it wasn't towards the end, but it's just like you can't be okay, so you can't be like afraid to like be mean or like try someone, because like eventually you're gonna see that there's people that will walk all over you if you're too nice and all that kind of stuff, and you have to know that line as well, because like he was saying, like for me sometimes my delivery is like too hardcore, and it's like, and I told Eddie, I was like, I'm scared that like if I'm really like myself, like someone's gonna quit because I'm gonna be too mean. Like it's just sometimes it's that line, but you can't be like, okay, let me be nice because then if not, this person's gonna quit. Like you can't think that. Like some people are gonna quit, and that's just, they don't belong here then. But don't be afraid to like put your foot down. Like be cool, but like you're gonna need to put your foot down at times.
Cool. What other things you guys have? Here's the last thing that I have in terms of expectations for AMs. I have on my list readiness, one's honesty, right? Being honest. Dude, it's just like, even here's something you'll learn about me is that like, we're talking about this summer. It's like my biggest strength and also my biggest weakness is that like, I just always see like the best in people. And my natural tendency is to like assume the best and assume assume they're good, right? I'm not wired to like assume like the bad or like assume people are lying to me or cheating on me and things like that. So, expectation for you guys is honesty. Like just know that I'll expect you to be honest and I'll trust you that you're being honest. Like my first instinct is never that like someone's like lying to me or trying to like pull something over my head. And, the other thing I'll say is too, so like I take it really, really personally when people do try to do that. You know what I mean? Because I always assume that, and then like when I find out that people did, like I take it personally, right? And so just being honest and communication. Know that like if you guys are feeling some way, like I want to know about it, and I think the same thing we're expecting of our people. The things I have is 100% / no half-assing. Basically, just going to like same thing as best version of yourself. Like just know that like hey, like I'm not gonna expect you guys to do a whole lot and go above and beyond every single time. But, when you show up. Don't bring outside stuff into the office. I think one expectation of our assistant managers is going to be sales leadership. Sales leadership is a huge one. And you guys didn't see it as much from this summer because we were understaffed and we only had 3 assistant managers and we were running a $850,000 summer. And there's only 3 people in the office running everything there. So like they would have like, okay, cool. Here's your 4 hours that you have open for the week. Go do a demo. And like, it was very, very tough to get around. But during this fall, like there's going to be a heavy standard on our expectations on that. And that's just something that's going to have to be met. Like I'm going to give you guys the standards too. And there's too many, it's a good problem to have. And it's also just means like there's a high level of accountability, but there's too many people in this team that want to be in your seats and want to be in your positions in order for you guys to continue to stay on staff and not meet the weekly requirements or not meet the expectations there. So, sales leadership, I think is cool. Availability. right? Like don't have a clock in, clock out mentality. So when you're a manager, you know, a lot of your stuff is happening around the clock. Like you guys are now running a business. You know, you're not like again, you are still like working for the office and stuff like that too, but now you are part of running the office. Like you oversee the operations of the office. And so part of that is gonna be a mentality switch, right? Is thinking of like, how do I help out and run the office and oversee the office and still lead by example? And that's part of the ways I do that. But, you know, thinking about like, hey, like if I'm not doing something, like probably no one else is. You know what I mean? Thinking about like things like when you're in the office, like, hey, if I don't do this, like, you know, don't just assume that someone else on the staff is just going to step up or do it, or that Andrew's doing it, or Lauren or Julie or something else like that too. So just like, you know, being available. And I think it's just part of it's teamwork. You know what I mean? Like there'll be certain times where like you guys are all in school. So some people will have tests or quizzes, or some people will have like every once in a while a big family event, or every once in a while, like, you know, maybe just a party or something like that they wanted to go to. So just being really communicative versus like versus when we had PDI for your first weekend. You know, just a lot of communication. And it's okay. Like there's enough of us where like if one or two people have something going on, that's cool. Like it's like, hey, it's almost like covering your shift. It's like, hey, I know this needed to get done in the office. I mean, I really want to do this today, guys. Is there like two people that can step up? And if you're available, be the person to step up. If you know you're just chilling at home, not doing anything, and like you're just being lazy, like step up. So like, you know, they can go enjoy that event, do whatever, and like, you know, make yourself available. And then just know that like have other people expect to do the same thing when you need it, right? When like you have that one time where you're sick, or that one time where like you have a big event that you want to be at or something like that too, know that like, hey, I step up for other people. I should be able to expect up, you know, I should be able to have at least one time like, hey, I got this going on, you know, and have someone else step up for me. So availability, communication, reliability. Last thing is punctuality. Let me put that on here. Like today was a bad example of that. Like I mean, most people got here late, including myself. I got here like right at 9:30. So, you know, anytime you're running a function, okay, you guys are running the function. So like anytime that's happening, like for instance, like there's a reason the assistant managers are here every morning early before the line. It's like you guys now as assistant managers, like we have a meeting, like the meeting starts at like 5 o'clock. It doesn't mean you get there at 5 o'clock. You guys are part of like the helpers of setting up and orchestrating that meeting, not just like a sales rep that's coming to the meeting. Like you guys should be a part of like, all right, cool. Let me make sure the meeting's ready to roll so we can help set up for it, and whatever the case may be. So that's it. It doesn't mean you always need to like show up like an hour ahead of time. Just like show up a little bit early to everything, right? Like try to be like there like 15 minutes early before like anything that's required of us to do. So that's the last of the things I have on here. Any other things that you guys have as far as manager expectations? Here's the last thing I'll say is that these are all things that you guys can expect from me, right? So I'm not leaving myself off the table on this, meaning like these are all things that like I want you all to be able to expect of me and my leadership too when you're on here. So, you know, things like being inspirational, never tired, broke, hungry, productive when I'm in the office, communicating effectively, not holding grudges, being ready, being honest, not half-assing, not bringing outside stuff. Like sales leadership, not as much. But I won't be selling too much here, guys. But availability, same thing, teamwork and punctuality. Here's what I can tell you about availability. So for me, in the fall, it's a little bit more crazy time. I don't work with the salespeople as much in the fall. So in fact, like in the spring, I might not even run like eventually I won't even be running our sales trainings. Like eventually, that's not happening right now by any means in the fall. I'll be running all the trainings in the fall. But, you know, so a couple different things on that kind of note is that like what you guys expect from me, availability, like if you ever need me for anything important, you can always reach out to me, right? Like just know that like I will make myself as available as possible to you all. Now for our sales reps and salespeople, again, like I'm going to barely even be talking to our just normal sales reps, like in the fall, just being honest. Most of my energy is going to go into our TLA candidates, and like I have like, you know, keep in mind like 10, 15 people that I'm going to be coaching that are away, not in this office, that are going to be away at school that I'm going to have calls with every week. And then the actual TLA candidates in this office and our staff, like that's the people that I'm focusing the majority of my energy and effort into. So just know that, again, if you guys ever need me, I can't always guarantee you're going to get a hold of me every single time, but like, you know, don't like think like, oh, Andrew went home, I don't want to bother him kind of thing. Like it shouldn't be like that. Like, in fact, a lot of times I was telling Lauren this earlier this summer, a lot of times, like it will be easier to communicate with me outside of the office than it is in the office. Because when I'm in the office, like half the times, like while I'm running training or doing something else, like if I'm in the office, I'm usually running a function or running a meeting or doing something like running the phone jam. And like whatever if you have something to sit down and talk to me about, like it's probably like not going to happen effectively while I'm in the middle of like running meetings and stuff like that too. So just letting me know and making sure we can set up some time. In terms of availability, when I travel, you guys, I'll just let you know for most part, like there's a couple trips that I'm taking the fall where I'll be like completely off the grid. Like as in like, there'll be there's a couple growth retreats that I'm taking and spending a lot of money to like, just literally immerse myself. Like I won't be talking to anyone, period, not just like office stuff, but like removing myself from that for like 3 or 4 days. But most of the time, any other time I'm traveling, it's with like other company stuff. And again, I'll still be available, anytime that you guys need me, or make myself as available as possible too. So, any other questions, comments, or extra things that you think, either expectations of you all or things that you want to expect of me, or anything else that we're leaving out here?
So
Better
like,
music.
Better music? Like what kind of music?
New music,
no,
actually.
if
Just
I
new
hear
music.
congratulations.
Yeah, we can't. I mean, if you guys make a playlist, I'm all for it. It's gotta be not explicit. It's gotta be clean. I'm all for it. If you guys want to make some more playlists, dude, our music is great. It's just when you're in the office enough, it just gets really old really fast. It's just,
Yeah, that's why I didn't say better music.
Every time we play a playlist,
New music.
yeah, every time we play a playlist, people are like, "Wow, this is a dope playlist," and then like 4 weeks later, like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, this playlist." But yeah, exactly. So if you guys make ones, we can spice it up for sure. It's just gotta be like clean and not explicit, and it's gotta be on Spotify so we can play this.
I gave mine to Eddie, but it's also.
Oh, sure.
But
You can do SoundCloud too.
What time do you have to be on Sunday?
3:00. We're gonna go over that
as
stuff in
far
a
as
second.
like the scheduling goes, like more like formal, like when are we gonna?
Yeah, I'm gonna go over all that stuff here in a second.
Oh,
Cool.
okay.
Any other stuff on expectations? All right, let's do this. Let's take. We went over on time here. I'm gonna look at what we're doing here. Let's take a quick like 5-minute break or whatever because I need to use some too. And then we can go over schedule stuff and we'll dive into Instagram and Facebook recruiting and all that good stuff. Here.
You're right.
Taking a quick break. So yeah, exactly. So again, you three are gonna be the main ones running interviews, things like that. We're gonna go over all that schedule. So you guys are the ones on the higher percentages, and then everyone else, you are 3 part-time assistant managers right now. So which means you guys are on 0.5%. I'm gonna go over all the percentages and all that stuff here in a second, and like exactly schedule. So let's start off with that. Actually, let me pull up my notes here. Okay, cool. First thing is first is let's talk about that. So everyone is going to have, I'm going to go over an office schedule. Now, again, in terms of like office involvement, there's head AMs, there's DOMs, there's part-time AMs. Okay. If you're a head AM and a part-time AM, it doesn't mean, and all of you guys have all started recently earlier to each other. So I think 2 things. I think at the end of the day, you know, for instance, like Julia started this summer too, but now she's a DOM, you know, so at the end of the day, I don't think it should be like any kind of certain level of like, hey, you know, Julia's better than you all or anything else like that too. That's definitely not the case. But at the end of the day, like I'm going to be leading her and coaching her and talking to her on how to like lead that team. And part of that's also going to be me leading the assistant manager team sometimes, right? And like getting things done or helping delegate and make things happen too. So not as like a, hey, and not in a bossy way, but just in a role of a leadership role. You know what I mean? And again, you can still be a leader in an organization without being the person in charge. You know, we talk about this, for instance, like in Greek life. You know, I remember like people in a fraternity, like you can be a leader in your organization and still have even more of a say than a lot of other people without actually having the title. You know, or having the actual being on the exec board or being in the role and stuff like that too. So, and that's what I want you guys to keep in mind because some of you guys are part-time or full-time, less based on your skill set level and more so based on like your availability and what you actually have and stuff like that too. Some of you guys, you know, are part-time because of your skill set level and eventually you'll be able to move on to maybe a more full-time role. So there's a lot of different interchanging parts. Yeah, so like I said, just keep that in mind. Don't have any like grudges though too. And don't like if you are in like a higher role, you know, don't make that thing like, hey, like you're in charge or better than like the other AM or something like that. Same thing if you're like a part-time role, it's not at all like, hey, like you're like, you know, lower on the totem pole. It just means like you're just less than like the percentage that you get paid again is also not based on your skill level. Like I had a conversation with Rob. It's not like when one person steps down or someone else leaves, like no one else's pay or what they're doing has any determination on how much you're being paid or how much time you're in the office. It's all based on like how much you're being paid is generally speaking on how much like office work outside of the normal Wednesday, Sunday sales job that you do, right? So outside of like the normal stuff, it's like how much extra stuff, and that generally is speaking of whatever the office pay is. Office pay is based off percentages, right? So that means it's based off of office performance. So how we do as an office and team dictates how much, you know, money you're making. Now, so let me give you guys some stats and stuff like that too for the summer. Okay, so you just have an idea in terms of like how much like income you can be making and stuff like that too. Well, let's go over, I guess, the expectations first, and I'll go over like income and stuff like that too. So let me come back to the percentages. So let me go over like the standards of an assistant manager. Okay, so like these are like I guess the expectations. Actually, cool. Julia, can you take a photo of that real quick? So, 3 things really. Okay. Actually, let me pull up my notes here so make sure I give you guys the right one. Give me 1 second. Okay. Okay. So these are like kind of like the 3 keys that you're going to be, the 3 like areas as an assistant manager outside of like recruiting and things like that. You know, the stats that you've been looking at every week is how many PRs did you set, like how many demos you book or do, and how many Facebook or how many social media messages out. So as a part-time AM, this is what the expectations should be. Right? Any part-time AM who's making 0.5% in the office, you really don't have that much extra work on top of your workload. Okay. So again, because you're not being paid, like anything you make from the office, by the way, should not be your primary source of income. In fact, most of your office pay will probably be withheld and we'll put it into withholdings. I think it was 100% of withholdings this summer. We did that, right? It was 100%. Yeah, 100% withholding. So your primary income should be from your sales, right? And then the assistant manager pay should almost just be like an invisible thing in the side where it's just like you don't even notice it and it just keeps going into your account. And at the end of the fall, you look in there and there's a couple grand sitting in your account, right? Like that's how you should kind of want to treat it. So as far as like the assistant manager pay, and that's exactly like that's one reason why our assistant managers have so much startup, right now going into the fall, and it definitely helps. Like top 3, like top people in all of TLA, it's go figures. So, and we want to set you guys up for that too, partially for a couple reasons. Number 1, because we want to teach you good financial spending habits. Number 2, oftentimes if you have a lot of AM pay flowing in, like if you don't actually need money and you're getting so much money from the AM pay, it like discourages you from selling and you don't really feel like you need to sell. Third thing is this will also help you kind of just set some expectations ahead of time. If you are in TLA, which all of you guys are, or hopefully will be soon, it's going to help your matrix score, right? And so like that's like one way that you guys can easily get ahead of everyone else because it's just money's automatically flowing to your account each and every single week, right? So that's one thing too. So in terms of like withholdings, I don't even know. I lost my train of thought here there. But again, you're not going to have that much extra work and responsibility outside the office. At 1%, you're running interviews, things like that too. At 1.5 or 2%, you're doing a whole lot more around the office, and there's a lot more going on here. So let's talk about that. So part-time AM, basically these are the requirements you need to do every single week, okay? It's to set 5 PRs. Set 5 PRs. Okay. Book 5 demos. Okay. And the last one would be 50 messages sent. 50 messages sent twice a week. You guys making fun of my handwriting, or what's so funny?
It's just like you are stabbing the board, man. You are going in.
I'm writing pretty lately. Maybe not. I don't know. All right. Anyways, that's awful. But you guys, hopefully, I got your notes. Okay. So
just sent two times a week.
Yeah. So here's how this works. Okay. And the last thing is, so if you are on staff, you will be in charge of 1 day of active advertising. That means you'll be an active ad captain. Okay. So this past week. Now, again, there's always going to be outside. This is the standard schedule. Again, when it comes to like availability and help, the first couple of weeks, I'm probably gonna have like 2 people in active ad every single morning, just because like this is our time to like hit campus as hard as possible, like capture the recruiting momentum in the beginning, and then after that, it'll just be kind of like maintenance, right? So the way it will work is we'll generally like rotating around the staff schedule. And for instance, there'll be 4 days of active a week, and we have 6 people on staff. So like there'll be pretty much 4 people a week. You'll have every like week or 2, you'll have like 1 week where you don't even do active, or you'll have it off, right? But you'll just go for on campus for 1 day, and I'll try to make it. We can organize it so like every staff meeting that we have, I'll lay out like, hey, here's the 2 campuses we're hitting this day. Here's the 2 campuses we're hitting this day. We'll give some expectations for that, like, hey, we're hitting these ones on this day, this one's on this day. Who can volunteer on this day, who can volunteer on this day. Okay, who can take this day, who can take this day. So expectations generally about, usually you'll be doing like 1 a week. 1 Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And again, hopefully I'll do it with like your class. So like Kat and Julia, it'll be easy for you guys to do like, UM or something like that. Do you want a day where you have class in the morning, you just get there earlier, right? Or something like that. Yeah, exactly. So, or a day on, well, that's probably gonna be actually tough to do because you start at 8 a.m. So it might be hard to actually get significant. What's up, Giselle? Oh, yeah.
Giselle!
If we want to slide that chair over, we'll slide it over here or something like that. Did I ever unmute this? I hope I did. I did. Okay, cool. So Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So you'll do 1 active ad shift, and outside of that, outside of the active ad shift, there's nothing else that's required for you to do except you just come in earlier on Sundays. That's literally it. Okay. If you're a part-time AM, so you just do 1 active ad shift a week, and you come in earlier on Sundays. Wednesdays, you're early. Yeah, so I'm gonna go over Sundays in a second. Wednesdays, you're already in earlier just because of our TLA preps. Okay. So Wednesdays, our TLA prep is 4 to 5:30. So all our TLAs in there in the office. So at that point in time, you wouldn't necessarily go earlier, but between 5:30 and 9 o'clock, for most of y'all's schedules, you probably won't actually need all that time to phone jam, right? So you would do these things. You can do these things in between right? So let me go over the expectations. So set 5 PRs a week. You just need to have 5 PRs set in the system a week. Again, now these are the expectations. As a good assistant manager, you can always go above and beyond this. You know what I mean? So it doesn't mean like if you're hanging out, you got your demos booked and you're hanging out on Wednesday, like your assistant manager, like book some more PRs, you know, see if we can help build the team. Because eventually like that is also increasing your paycheck. Because when you set PRs, we have more people in training and we have a higher sales week. Like we're gonna sell a whole lot more when we're building the team. So you guys as actively recruiters, like these are all functions that, by the way, you're getting paid to do just to do them. Like this is what you're getting paid to do. But these are also all things that you're being paid to do because they help build the team. And the more that we sell, the more we build, also increases how much money you're making too, just in terms of like that wise. But we want to be building a team. So sending 5 PRs is the expectation. Generally speaking, that should all happen on Sunday. Okay, so you should get all of your PR set as a part-time AM on Sunday. Okay, Sunday is the day that you're gonna be doing those, and anything on Wednesday should just be extra on the top. Wednesday should not be your day to like make up from Sunday if you didn't hit your number. Like 5 PRs is, you know, for our standards, for our assistant managers in the summer was set to like 10 minimum, and the goal was 15 on a Sunday. Okay, now we'd be there from like 2 to 9 o'clock, but they'd set like 10 to 15 PRs around doing PDI for 30 kids and running the phone jam and running the meetings and stuff like that too on a Sunday, and they'd still set like 10 to 15 PRs. So sending 5 PRs on a Sunday is not too difficult. You know, usually it'd take you like 2 hours tops to actually get that done. Book 5 demos. Okay, so here's the standards that are right next to that. Okay, is as an AM, you should be selling $1,000 a week. Okay, as an assistant manager in the office, you should be selling $1,000 a week. Now, I'm going to focus on the demos and the actions, not the results. Okay, so if you have an off sales week, I'm not going to like, you know, try it for being assistant manager if you're just having trouble getting the results. But if you're just not doing the demos, not putting the work in, that's a different story. So most of you all, if you actually complete 5 demos, you end up selling $1,000 for pretty much everyone in the room. So now again, if you're struggling with that and your sales are a little bit lower, if you ever have an off week, it's not that big of a deal. But you should be booking 5 demos every single week. Or completing 5 appointments, and then from that you should be selling about $1,000 a week. Again, you can do a whole lot more. Some of you guys that like aren't in school or don't have much classes like that too, you know, during the fall, like don't necessarily change your mentality of the summer. If you're not taking classes and stuff like that too, you can be still selling $2K plus on a weekly basis. And PDI call.
Hey, Braulio, what's up?
So, but if you're not in classes in the fall or something like that, you can take it a whole lot higher than $1,000. That's just our standard and their expectations, right? So the last thing I'll say is, okay, and then, I'll come to the last one. And the last one is 50 messages sent. So on Sunday and Wednesday, that would just mean like one thing. Again, 50 messages will take maybe an hour tops to send them out. You just really copy and paste the messages. And so you just do that on Sunday when you're here, and then on Wednesday, like around the phone jam, whatever, when you have time. Right? Sunday, it's got to get done. Wednesday, if you're booking appointments and doing PRs, whatever, I'm not as much as like a Nazi about, you know, when it gets done and stuff like that.
What do you mean 50 messages?
So 50. So let me explain the whole program here in a second. But 50 messages, as in Facebook or Instagram, right? So we have something called Facebook recruiting, which I don't even think any of you guys know about, but that's actually kind of how Alex is here a little bit. He got a message on Instagram. Right. So, but that was an automatic bot from our app that like automatically sends that to people when they follow our account. How did you find our account? Did it follow you?
They followed me.
Nice. Awesome. So, which is also another bot that I have running in the background, like following people. That's kind of funny. So anyways, yeah, 50 messages sent for Facebook or Instagram. I'm going to explain how you do that in a second, but basically you just get in once you log in, like once you get to the office, you just send them out and then you just post up the photos in the group chat, like the messages that you sent. I'm going to explain that whole program though in here a second. Cool. It was a question about that?
Yeah, like do you just send it out like randomly?
No, I'm gonna go roll it. Yeah,
Okay.
cool. So yeah, I have a whole document on everything on it. That's that. Okay, so those are the standards. If you ever aren't meeting these standards, right, or you're not hitting these like benchmarks, okay, then the first week we're gonna have a conversation. You're gonna be like a warning period for 1 week, right? Second week, if you have another week where you're not hitting that expectations, then you'll be off the AM pay and you won't be an assistant manager, at least for the time being in our office. So in terms of that, like this is pretty easy to get. Now its numbers are gonna be a little bit different. So like for like Julia, Danny, like you guys' numbers are a little bit different than this. I'll go over your guys' ones. I have them in my notes here in a second. But here's the other thing it can do, okay, is if you double up on anyone, right? So here's another way, like if you ever had an off week, here's how you can make up for it, right? So if you had, and let's say these are requirements, right? This one just pretty easy to do. You don't need to really worry about that. But let's say, 1 week you struggle with PRs getting set, right? But, you sold, but you did 10 demos that week, right? Then, I'm not going to worry about the PRs, right? If you had a week where, you needed to set 5 PRs and maybe you didn't book 5 demos, but you got 10 PRs set up, right? Then you're good. You're kind of in the clear. So it's another way where you can kind of make up for it or whatever if you ever have an off week in one of them too. But if you're not meeting both of these or not doing double on one or something like that, multiple weeks in a row, then again we'll have to take you off the staff or something until we can figure out a new game plan. Cool. Question on that? Alrighty. That's the actual kind of just basics of it. I believe Danny, your PR set number. Let me 100% check on this. I'll check afterwards on the notes, but I believe yours is 10. And then Julia, I believe y'all's is, let me double check my notes, either 10 or 15 too, right? For PR set number. Same thing, 50 messages sent, that's the exact same. 5 demos a week is going to be the exact same for everyone else. Cool. And Julia, I'll talk to you specifically about demos and stuff like that too. Cool. Questions on any of that stuff? Alrighty. So in terms of wins, huh? Oh, my bad.
So my percentage would be what?
So I have you on 1%. Yep. And yeah, I'm gonna go over all that stuff. I'll go over the specific schedule for 1, 2, 3 part-time AMers. You guys are kind of good to go with this information, and then Danny. When we're right after this, we're gonna hang out for a quick second too, because we have to get a little bit more to office schedule because you guys are running interviews and things like that here shortly. So in general, again, this is how we're starting off the fall. Things could change. One person stepped down, it gives an opportunity for someone else to step up. If one person's really doing well, if one person has more availability, there's multiple AMIs that are available too. That just are kind of a tough schedule too. So things could change if this isn't 100% finite throughout the fall. So if you ever have a problem with the schedule or you're wondering questions like that too, you can always ask as well. It's not a big deal. And like I said, there also are other people that there's multiple other people on the team that ask me every single Wednesday about getting onto staff or being an assistant or an AMI and things like that too. So just know that there are other people that are hungry to be in the position that you're in. The last thing I'll kind of mention on this note before we talk about we're going to transition here over into content and the how-to, and we're going to teach you guys some skill set here and stuff. But the last thing I'll mention is that as assistant managers in the office, if you weren't here, if you haven't watched that video, or you weren't at that initial fall staff meeting, I want to remind you guys the real value of being on staff. You're going to make extra money, that's cool. But the real value is just the experience and the skill sets you're going to develop. 2 things. All of you guys, think about people in TLA. This is going to help set you apart. This is going to put you way further down the road. When I talk about people that are going to get good, damn good training to become a branch manager next summer, or become a district manager in the future, or become an assistant manager in our office for the summertime, right? And we want to do even bigger than we did next summer than we did last summer, or our DOM role. You all are going to be the highest trained, not just in our office, but in the entire division by being a part of the staff and really learning and teaching skills and honing skills. And sometimes it's going to be more about getting the job done. A lot of other times it's going to be about learning and developing the skill set too. But, there's I always have hesitancy when people go from one summer and branch to the next summer, unless they can get in an office in the fall and spring. If you can do that, assistant manager role, it's a lot easier to accomplish. So you guys are going to have better access to me than anyone else on the team. You guys are going to have better access to Jeff probably than anyone else, because now Jeff knows you're some part of my staff and he takes care of those people. Jeff also is local this fall and spring and not all the way up in Delaware. So he'll actually be able to he'll probably be here actually time to time. And you guys are going to get just higher level exposure, higher level experience. Your personal growth is probably going to increase a lot in this fall period. And I think that's really why someone chooses to do staff. If all you care about is the money, then you're better off just selling. You know what I mean? You could probably sell a whole lot every single week and you make a lot of money from that. But, if you care about leadership, care about learning, coaching, personal development, growth, you guys are experiencing a lot of that this fall, and I'm excited for that too. So any questions? Cool. Let's dive in and talk about some content here. So we're a little bit short on time, and I'm going to figure out how we're going to navigate this. Okay, so all right, first thing we're going to do is talk about Instagram and Facebook recruiting. I'm gonna make this brief because I was supposed to. We're like an hour behind, kind of. So first thing is Instagram, Facebook recruiting. If you want to take out some notes on this or something like that, here's how it basically works. The idea of the program is that, I mean, it's the 21st century. Like, we can use social media to recruit. Every other company uses social media for their business. We've been using Facebook for the past couple years. In fact, Jordan Galvez was a Facebook PR. You know, Alex Sanham is an Instagram PR. What'd you say?
You added my cousin on Facebook.
I did?
Yeah.
Who's your cousin?
Natalia Ortiz.
Okay, yeah, maybe. Like a long time ago?
Probably.
Okay,
I
cool.
can attach her on Facebook.
Yeah, so.
You do?
Yeah, from when I had the Facebook class.
There you go.
Which was super hard.
Did you Facebook last year before she came in?
Yeah,
Really?
yeah.
That's
She was
funny.
My first, well, she didn't really do much, so.
So yeah, basically all it involves sending someone a message, and it's basically just a recruiting message. It's just like, hey, you know, not sure if you know anyone, but we basically have job openings, blah, 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 just the normal pitch or whatever. Hey, super random, but want to know if you knew anyone that was looking for work right now, right? You always kind of ask it open-ended like that, because that's like the best, because usually when you ask people like, hey, are you looking for a job right now? They're like, you know, whatever. That's the same thing when you're on campus. Always ask people like, hey, do you know, super random, but do you know anyone that might be interested in this? Or do you know anyone that might be looking for this, right? The same thing when you're like recruiting people and they're like, well, actually, I kind of need a job, you know, and it'll be more open to it. But you also open your ideas to other people, right? So a lot of times, like, if people like aren't interested at all, they might know someone else that is interested. That's like literally what happened. That's how Julia's here, right? Because like Eddie called a PR and he's like, yeah, like, you know, like, well, maybe if you're not interested, do you know anyone that would be interested, right? And she's like, actually, yeah, I do know a girl that's like looking for a job right now. You know, I can give you her number. And then he got her number and then he called her. And that's how he showed up. So, you know, just asking like, hey, do you know, like, or do you know anyone that could be interested? And then a lot of times too, like, they'll refer you to someone else and be like, hey, actually, no, but I'm going to send this link over to my friend that she's interested or something like that too. So basically, you know, in past, we've really used Facebook a lot. And the whole company's program has been built off of Facebook. I'm trying to change that. And this fall, we're going to be running our first kind of like pilot program where we test out Instagram. I have been doing my own Instagram stuff in the background in the scene, but we're going to actually start like kind of translating it to our actual staff this upcoming fall and see what kind of results we can get from that. Like 2 or 3 years ago, I thought like messaging on Instagram was too kind of creepy. And originally it was like signs to DMs, but now as Instagram claims more and more prevalence, you know, just with people using it, like more students use Instagram today than obviously Facebook. Like how many of you guys actually use your Facebook?
I haven't opened the Facebook app on my phone since I.
Yeah, like none of you guys have Facebook. I use Facebook like 24/7 growing up, or even in college. Like, Kat, do you guys use Facebook for fraternity?
Oh, actually, yeah. We do. Use it for everything.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like,
Facebook a lot,
the only people that use Facebook is college students when they get into there. So here's what we're gonna do, right? If you're doing Facebook recruiting, you're gonna be only recruiting college students, right? Like, you're only recruiting people that are already in college, because those are the people that really only use Facebook. And you'll do it through like fraternities, sororities, schools, things like that. If we're doing Instagram, we can do both or either of the two. Okay, so Facebook, here's kind of how the actual program works. Essentially, what you want to do first is you have to add people into your friend network. Okay, so you got to be adding people. So going into the summer, like our assistant managers, they got like an extra 1,000 to 2,000 or 3,000 friends on their Facebook, and they were adding people specifically in the markets. Now, how do you know who to add? Basically, we will have a targeted list. So like what we did before the summer started was we divvied up all the high schools that we wanted to go to, like, or all the different schools in the area. So we'd say, hey, Lauren, you have Ransom, Glenn, you know, Danny, you have, you know, Columbus and Southwest. I don't really know, whatever schools, I just randomly name them. So, each person would have those schools. And so they would go into those groups. And what you do is you find someone that goes to that school or something like that. And then you can click on their friends and you can see mutual friends, like other people that go to school. So essentially you can like almost build a separate list. And in Facebook, there's this thing called a friend list. And you can like basically add people to the list. So I'd add it to like, hey, this is all my Columbus list. This is all my Lourdes list. This is all my Miami Country Day, whatever the school, Coral Gables list, right? And you would add on people to that so that you have like a couple hundred people or that you've added friend requests that have accepted it. And then when summer starts, what we would do is we go through and message them. The reason it's just 50 is because Facebook usually caps you out 50 messages a day, or else it will start thinking you're a bot when you copy and paste the same message over and over again. So you can only really send 50 messages a day, or else we would probably send more. But it caps you off at 50 messages. So what you would do is you build your friend base up, and then you start sending out messages in 50 a day. So the key is if you always are sending out messages, though, you're always running out of people to send messages to. So it would be, whenever you're doing Facebook, it's send 50, friend 50, right? So you send out 50 friend requests, then you send out 50 Facebook messages, right? And you usually don't want to send people the messages until they've accepted your friend request, or else they don't see on Facebook. Instagram is going to be a little bit different. Instagram, we're honestly going to do a little bit of freelance, okay? And chances are there's so many people in Miami that the chances of us messaging the same person twice, it's not really that high. And if we do, wow, whatever. This is not really, they got an Instagram message twice. It's not like a big deal. So what we'll do with that is I'll give you guys some guidelines on how you can find people. But I'm going to send you guys a document with all the actual verbiage. And you're going to just literally all you do is copy and paste the verbiage. So you send a message and say, hey, this is the message. People will ask questions. It's we'll have a copy and paste response. You can ask the questions. And you're really just trying to recruit these people. Trying to get the goal is to have them become PRs. By the way, okay, when you get these people in the door, they count as PRs for you. Okay, so they count as PRs for a contest. So anytime you recruit someone from social media, if you recruit someone from campus, from active advertising, they count as your PRs onto the team, which is also cool. So for AM, PR builder, cup there, that will help a little bit too.
Wait. Am I not in that sales rep Silver Cup contest anymore?
What?
Because I'm an AM now.
What's Silver Cup? No, that you were a rep in the summer. That should still count.
Good question. I need to figure that out. Yeah, I can't imagine, because I gotta imagine most people on there probably, if they're still around, they probably got ended up being an assistant manager or something like that in the fall. No, that would suck. Or else just pay under the table or something like that. But yeah, so it counts as your PRs. But anyways, what we'll do is I'm just gonna have you guys freelance it, so you guys can be creative with not the messages you're sending, but with the people you're sending them to on Instagram. Generally speaking, you want to follow them first, and then you send them a message. Okay, so this is kind of how it works. What I would do is there's different ways, and you guys, is anyone not really that familiar that doesn't really use Instagram that much? It doesn't really know. All right, cool. Let's make things a little bit easier. So most of you guys have probably used it before. So whenever you're doing it, here's ideas of what you can do to find people that you can recruit. Again, we obviously want to recruit people in the Miami area. So one big one is just locations. Okay, locations. So locations of malls, concerts, areas, beaches. Those locations are always good ones to recruit from. Places where students would be at. Okay, you just literally look them up there, look at all the photos, and when every single the people that post photos, just send them a message, right? Even if it's an older adult, don't worry about it too much, because you could send them a message and they might have a son or daughter that might be looking for work or something like that too. Next one is locations of schools. Is a really easy one. You want to find kids that go to University of Miami, just put in University of Miami as a location, and you'll just scroll down and see 1 million people that go to University of Miami, and you can easily just message them. If you want to see people that are, go to Belen Jesuit, you put in Belen Jesuit as a location, there's going to be a bunch of photos of people that go to Belen. You can easily see people that go to those schools. There's also, so location is probably the biggest and easiest one. Second thing is, if you know someone that is popular, that has a lot of followers, that would be type of people that we would want to recruit, then those are also people that you could easily send messages to. Just go to someone's followers and send those messages. Or if it's a page, the next one would be a page that multiple people follow, right? So for instance, there are Instagram groups. I know you guys know what I'm talking about, Instagram groups that they'll have a Instagram almost page or group for a high school or for a club or for a team or something like that too. Does anyone know more about that and wants to elaborate? Yeah.
Yeah, I do that at my school. We create a page for the class of 2019, and everyone follows it to see the updates.
Okay, cool. So everyone will follow, and they're kind of part of that group. You can also see everyone else in it. Yeah. So that's another example. Is you find those groups on social media, and you can just go through the list and just message people, right? If you can ever cater your messages, it makes them a lot better. So if you can ever cater it to say there's a reason why you're randomly messaging that person, being hey, I saw that you're in the SGA at Coral Gables High School, and we've had a lot of experience with people doing well there in the past. You want to reach out. We have some opportunities for blah blah in the fall. I'm not sure if you know anyone that's looking for work, but if you do, they can apply to this link or ask me more questions or information, right? And that's kind of how it will go and approach. So you can send people out. Generally speaking, okay, it should be. It doesn't matter if you send to the opposite gender, but there's much higher yield and results. And after looking at the numbers and stuff like that across the company, guys message guys, girls message girls, You just get better results in general from that too. Also, in terms of Instagram, I don't actually worry about the guys that much, but girls, I want you to avoid like getting like creepy messages and things like that too. And I know like, Lauren got like creepy messages on like Facebook or something like that sometimes, and she like sent something else. Yeah, so that not like that bad, but sometimes some of them were bad. All right, anyways, all right, we'll just do this later, okay? But point is, you shouldn't have anything to worry about too much. But I mean, yeah, like I said again, just be somewhat. I mean, it's still social media. I'm not actually worried about you guys that much. But again, you get better results if you message. If guys, you message guys. Like you guys, you will get fairly any results if you message girls. Just period. For whatever reason. It's not just that too. Like for instance, I even message people to try to get like Instagram influencers this summer, and like no one responded to me because I'm a guy, and like just like girls with like big followings get their accounts flooded with like DMs from like random dudes all the time. So it didn't even get seen by half the people. So, but anyways, so that's kind of how you want to focus on. Now, let me ask you guys this, okay? I can expand on this a little bit more, but if I give you guys the approach with the messages, does anyone feel like they need more guidance in order to just figure out like how to get 50 messages out on like a Sunday?
Only thing you said about like who you send the message. Oh, wait, you're just talking about the location and like just so you can just like go by school or like whatever.
Yeah. I mean, you guys can kind of freelance it. You know what I mean? Whatever you think is best. Try different things.
That's easy.
We're kind of testing this program out. You know what I mean? So I guarantee by like 6 months, 9 months from now, I'll have like, okay, this is exactly how you want to do it. It's the right way. But this is your opportunity to see like what yields the most results. You know what I mean? And like who can get in here, stuff like that too. So test out different locations and schools like that. Run it by me though. Don't like just like don't be like doing for like 4 months. I don't know, something like just like let me know what you're doing. It's like, hey, I'm reaching out to this high school, Andrew, or something like that. Hey, I'm reaching out to like this college or university. Hey, I'm going through all of Sigma Chi at FIU. I'm going through like this too. So like let me know on a Sunday what group you're messaging, and then we'll just do it that way too. But I'm not gonna be like there's just too many places and people, and it's also Instagram's way too unorganized to be like, putting you in charge of this, 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 just right now. So we'll kind of free verse it for a little bit. And if I feel like we need to take it in a more exact direction of like, hey, this is the people you're recruiting, we can do that another time. I'm just gonna does everyone have an Instagram?
Yes.
Okay. Next step would be, do you have one, Robert?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I don't even like a face like that. So you did. Okay. Next thing I'd say is that for that is make your Instagram look good, right? So I like check. That's like one thing.
Public.
Huh?
Like all.
Anyways, all right. So that's not. I mean, whether you're public or private, I don't know if it matters that much. But just make it look presentable. Yeah, that's all I'll say. Facebook, we had to do the same thing, and I think Facebook's at least a little bit easier to make look presentable, just because like
I have some really old pictures on there.
Yeah. What we had to do is, Rob had the same thing. He hadn't used his Facebook in like 8 years, so we had to give him some profile pictures and update it too. So kind of like a profile review. Profile review as an assistant manager. Just hopefully like when someone sees your page, they're not like instantly like thinking like negative things or positive things. Like you should look like someone that's cool, someone that's fun, someone that's nice, and then someone that also maybe looks like they have good things going for them. You know what I mean? Like you don't have to seem like a professional adult. Like you don't need to change your whole Instagram to photos of you in a suit. But do have it as like at least like somewhat professional. I wouldn't put vector same thing in your caption and logo. I'm gonna start you guys all off at Instagram, and we're gonna see where that goes. In 2 weeks, if we're not getting results from it, we're going to split it 50-50. So we'll keep testing Instagram, and I'm going to put 50% of you all on Facebook, and we'll do it that way. But that's kind of how we'll navigate and go through things forward. Whenever you do on a Sunday, here's how you check the stats, and I'll give you guys guidelines on how we post stats up every time. Here's the last thing I'll say, too, on stats. Stats is really important, okay, for a couple reasons. We're running an organization. This is like a business, okay? So when it's just like me and one other person, the stats don't actually matter as much because as long as we know them, it's fine. But there's a lot of different pieces in this puzzle right now, and it just involves a lot of people communicating, right? So if you don't post up stats after you're done with active, no one knows what happens. If you run an interview, you don't post up stats, and I'm out of town or something like that too. Like I want to know how many people are set for training now, like how many people came for the interview, and it helps everyone else be more aware of what's actually going on in the office versus like if you're just isolated and you just run one function, like you don't know what's going on there, they don't know what's going on there, you barely even know what's going on if you don't post a stat. So same thing with so Facebook messages or Instagram messages. What you'll do is on Sundays after you send them out, you'll take a screenshots of the messages you sent, like just the kind of the fact that they were sent, like just screenshot whatever 50, post the photos in the group, and then just say, hey, here's who I was targeting today, and here's who I sent the messages out to. Last thing on social media is that you actually have to follow through with them, right? So it actually involves like one thing, like opportunity, like we didn't have as much this summer was like we'd send messages out, but then like people would not respond or follow. Like people would ask questions about the job, be like interested. People would not like respond to them for like a week and a half later. You know what I mean? Like, oh yeah, by the way, like, you know, this is the details of the job and stuff like that too. So you gotta be like on top of messaging it. I'm not telling you to like make your life Instagram recruiting or something like that too. But like if you have some time, like check it every once in a while, respond back. And if you ever don't know how to respond, just post something in the group chat. We'll give you like a text or something like that you can respond to and help you out with that. Questions on any of that? Alrighty. Let's do this here. I'm gonna pull up my numbers here. Any other questions? All right, let's take a quick 3 to 4 minute break here. Just to get juiced up. You guys don't have to hear my voice talk so much. So we'll take a quick 3 to 4 minute break, and then we'll have final like 45-minute or less stretch here, and we'll finish off things for the day.
5.
Is that why Marcel asked what time the office was open till the other day?
Yeah, because he came and got it. Okay, I'll text him.
All right, let's move. A couple other things on my mind, just in terms of the expectations. We're gonna go into content, things like that. Just random things that popped up. Like I mentioned it earlier, but yeah, just be careful with. I think careful with the relationship you have with some of the sales reps and people now too. Now, look, it's different if you've been like buddies or boys or girls or whatever with someone for the whole summer long. I don't expect you all of a sudden to be like, oh, I'm an assistant manager now. Like you're over there. Like don't do that exactly. But for new reps on the team. You guys got to hold yourselves to higher standards and carry yourselves differently. Okay. I think it goes without being said, but like the language and verbiage that you have, like with reps, like there shouldn't be like much like there's, again, like in cursing, it's like I curse too, but like there's not like, outside of the office, and there's here's the deal. At the end of the day, when it comes to like cursing and things like that, no one will, not work for you or not work here because you didn't curse. You know what I mean? But there are people out there that, won't work here or won't feel comfortable in an environment that's not for them. And that's the case too. No one's gonna be like, oh, like, yeah, you're not cool enough. I don't want to work here. It's like, you're too like professional. Like, people won't say that, but people will say like, oh yeah, like that was not the kind of environment like that I wanted to be in.
Yeah, he cursed a lot.
Did he?
He apologized to me. I was like, nah, keep doing it.
Yeah, no, that's okay too. Like, I mean, like, if you guys ever listen to like my favorite podcast is the MF CEO podcast, and like that guy like curses like it's literally called the motherfucking CEO Project. Like that's the name of the podcast. So, that goes to this end. Do not have avoid having relationships with the representatives. That's all I'll say there. But every time anything like that happens, people quit like instantly. And there's every single time, without a doubt, I've been doing this for 4 or 5 years. It always messes something up every time it happens. So again, like that's like a pretty like, I mean, we tell that to our like AMs even before they go into the summer is like, I don't know how to say this appropriately, but everyone knows what I'm talking about right now. Okay. So don't do that. Cause that does throw things off. And now if by the way, if someone quits, someone's not here anymore, you can do what you want, all up for grabs, not on me, but don't do it in here. Okay. That's all I'm going to say there.
What?
Don't fuck reps.
Oh.
You do not know this story?
No, it wasn't like I was hearing a conversation, but I wasn't.
Okay. All right. So that's all I'll say there. All right. Trying to go as like around it as I could, and then yeah. Okay. Let's talk about. We're gonna talk about. We have literally 30 minutes left, so we're not gonna call PRs today, since tomorrow we'll actually have the opportunity to call them, and I won't spend as much time on this today, since I know our first TLA prep on Wednesday. We'll have a chance to go over that a little bit more in detail too. We will call and set our first PRs this Sunday. So starting this Sunday is the first time where you guys would actually be, added on to the we start all of our programs officially like this Sunday. And I haven't really been doing that much this week because we need to have this meeting to set the expectations and stuff like that, schedule wise. The only reason we did like active and stuff like that last week was because it had to happen because it was the first week of school. So going forward, usually in terms of like also pay, usually you're weaned on to whatever percentage you are on, because if you're on there, it's like usually involves like things like, for instance, like running interviews and things like that. It'll take you like a week or two to actually get up and running with that. For most people, like this was kind of like your wean on week, meaning because like we were learning active advertising campus, and that's what we're doing today. So starting like as soon as like this Monday ends and the Tuesday the following, like starting on Tuesday, like you'd be on official office pay. With that, you'll have a Vector Live account. Vector Live is what we use to do everything recruiting wise, right? Don't ask me why our company can't merge 2 websites together. I don't know. But Vector Live is what we use whenever it's like, so anything that happens from a sales rep from the time that they're interested in the job to get set up for an interview as a PR, all the way until they get to training. After their training, you don't use Vector Live again. So after they finish training, like they're no longer in there. After that, we use a website called Vector Connect, which is everyone already knows. And you just have some management features on there. So you can see our sales data for the week. You can see what we're at in the reports. You can see all that stuff on Vector Connect and check out all the information for the office. You'll have access to, as soon as you become an office pay, you'll have access to all that information on there on the website. Some of you guys will have limited access on there based on like, I think what number you're at or something like that, but everyone should have access to it. The last website that you'll have access to as soon as you become an assistant manager is called webpdi.com. And that is what we use to kind of track PDI results, which what we're going to go and do, and let me actually ask this. Who in here has called PRs before? Okay. Who in here has, so everyone else has never called a PR before? Okay. Who in here has like gotten at least some information and coaching on that because you were like an AMI earlier in the summer and like.
I have the script.
Okay, so you guys, so literally 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You all have the script, but have never called any PRs before.
I don't have the script.
Okay, cool.
Well, Lalo got the script at CFC.
Well, CFC, yeah,
Same
exactly. Is
exact
a script
script.
approach that you would use. Okay. I'll give I'm gonna go over the script for like 10 minutes. Okay, so I'm just gonna give you guys a brief information about. I'm not gonna dive into it too heavy. I'm gonna give you guys just enough information to pull the trigger on it tomorrow. I can also spend a little bit more time tomorrow going over it when we come into the office. Right now, I'm gonna go over like PDI and how to like coach reps and coach them on the phone and things like that too. Cool. Tomorrow Sunday, yeah, cool. All right, so let's do this. We'll start off. You want to put in your notes. You can write down like PDI, and I'll walk you guys through this stuff. So. First thing to cover is first weekend PDI, which I'll put up on the board here.
What does PDI stand for?
PDI stands for personal daily interaction. Also stands for pretty damn important. Okay. So let me actually. Okay. All right. Nice line. Let me pull up my notes here quickly. Okay, so first thing, there's 3 types of PDI that people do. Okay, the first one would be appointment check-in. How about I do this? How you guys want to listen to a PDI call?
Yeah.
Check it out. Ready? My name is Spartan. So make our hotline. This is Andrew. Who's this?
Hey, so I think the order, but I'm gonna have I saved it as a pending order. Because I'm gonna put it on as Wednesday. The customer wanted to know if I would be able to, not charge it to the card until Wednesday. So that's what Lauren had told me to do. So I saved it as a pending order. But yeah. Okay,
cool. Wait, so bro, just to be clear, what did they buy?
Oh, my bad. Sorry, I got stuck on there. They bought the 6 table knives because they already had Cutco, but they had purchased it without the table knife, so they purchased 6 table knives.
Gotcha. And so did you already put the order online?
Yeah, I already put everything. I didn't put their card info yet because I put in the card info, but it said it wasn't gonna save. But I saved it as a pending order.
Okay, cool. Yeah, exactly. You can do that. Although you're gonna want to write down their credit card information so that you can punch in the order when you're ready to roll.
Yeah, I already have it written down.
All right, cool. Yeah, exactly. And then you can just punch it in on Wednesday.
All right, perfect.
Cool.
Yeah,
Yep.
I was confused to how that works, but
Yep, exactly. That's exactly what you do. Or you can always write, anytime like that happens, you can also write the order up on a paper order form, and then you just write post date, and then for like Wednesday, and then you punch it in on Wednesday or whatever it is.
Oh, that's true. That's done. That's on in the back of the binder, right?
Yep. So you can do that one, but you already have. It seems like you already have most information, so you should be good to go. Just make sure you get a ton of recommendations from the appointment man, and then just give us a call back, and we'll help you out with the coaching call. Right?
All right, perfect.
Cool. Sounds good. Nice work, Riley. We'll talk to you soon.
All right, thank you.
Cool. Bye. All right. So I'm gonna write this on the board so that we can see it a little bit better here. And I'll move this guy over here. Okay. So this will just be easier for everyone. Andrew's handwriting doesn't have to be. Alrighty. All right, so there's three types of PDI. Okay, the first one is going to be in appointment check-in. Okay, this is where a rep is calling in, and you guys pretty much know most of this stuff, right? Because you've heard it before. But this is right when you're calling in from the appointment. Once they get to the homemaker set. Okay, the next type of PDI is called. It's going to be like the coaching calls. So the call right afterwards, following up every presentation, like we'll actually coach them and like, hey, how'd it go? You know, what did the customer get, et cetera, et cetera. What do you feel good about? What do you feel like you need some work on? And the last one is daily check-in. Okay, which to be honest, we got so busy this summer that we didn't really even promote it as much as we should. But this is a staple, and this is probably new information to all of you guys because we didn't really teach it. I know I didn't teach it to you guys in training because I forgot half the time. So, but what appointment check-in is, you are supposed to, and they say this in the interview, you're supposed to clock in basically every day that you work. So any day that you're doing appointments, you're supposed to kind of like clock in. Now, during their first weekend, they clock in by giving us a quick phone call or a text message before the day starts. After that, by Monday advanced training, people should be using WhatsApp. So every single day before their appointments, they'll send us a quick WhatsApp saying, hey, just kicking off, letting you know I'm working today. I got this many appointments lined up. It's what I have going on for the day. You know, I have an appointment at 5 o'clock and 7 o'clock. Update you guys there. Like something quick and fast, and we can give them some feedback or some tips if we want to. But to kind of check in for the day, it's like, hey, I'm almost clocking in on the days that people are working too. That just makes communication a whole lot more streamlined. So not necessarily from you all, but like this is what we're going to need to start implementing for the rest of the team. And like everyone else coming from training will kind of know that moving forward. Lauren, this is a side tangent since you know some of this stuff. Did you send out the Saturday morning text messages? Probably not, right? You know which ones I'm talking about? The ones that Eddie posted in the group chat? Yeah, Eddie.
Eddie sent yesterday, but you're like, no,
yeah, it's the wrong one. That's the one you want to send out Saturday mornings. Yep. So send that out to like just the people in the group chat. You can edit it a little bit if you've already kind of talked to someone, because it might be weird if you're like sending them that and you've already talked to them earlier today. All right, hold on. Darian's calling back. Probably a coaching call. Let's see. Hey, Darian, what's going on, man?
Hey, I just finished that thing. She didn't end up wanting, she just saw 2 knives that she really wanted. So she ended up getting a spatula spreader and a paring knife. And I'm putting that info into the thing now to put in the order.
Cool. Awesome, man. Well, is that your first sale, by the way?
Yeah.
Nice job, man. Nice job with the first sale. How you feeling?
Pretty good.
Good.
That was one I was most nervous for today.
Awesome, awesome. So you got the first one out of the way. Now, is this your second appointment that you've done?
Yes.
Cool, cool, man. Let me ask you, do you have a little more confidence now that you've gotten like your first 2 appointments out of the way and you've gotten like your first sale knocked out too?
Yeah, definitely.
Cool, cool, man. And keep in mind, you haven't even had advanced training yet, so you know we'll get you there pretty soon. You know we'll get you selling your first set here in a little bit. But nice work with the first one, man. How many recommendations did you get?
She only gave me 2.
Oh,
better
cool.
than nothing.
Yeah, cool, man. We'll take it. Let me ask, are you open to some quick feedback?
Yeah.
Cool. Let me ask you, did you do the thing we talked about in training called the pass back?
What was the pass back? Oh.
So yeah, the pass back is.
This one was online.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So it's a little tricky when you do it online. Now, how did you do it? Did you do it where they fill out that form, or did you do it where where you just write down the names and then they gave you the numbers?
She just gave me names and numbers that I wrote down.
Cool. So I'm not gonna lie, it's a little bit more tricky initially when you're doing it on the virtual one because it takes a little more confidence and stuff like that. But the way you want to do it is when you're on the virtual with them. What you're gonna do is after they give you 2 names, if they kind of stop there, I would almost kind of like, you remember in training on the first day where I went through that exercise with you and we kind of like went like thought jogging through all those people that you could go potentially see and like do appointments with.
Yeah.
You kind of want to do that with the customer a little bit, right? So you almost want to like thought jog with them and like try to thinking of more names. Like, all right, Miss Jones, like, oh yeah, you don't even have to think about people that would buy. Who's just like super nice. Like you go to church, right? Like who else do you know, or whatever. And kind of like thought jog with them a little bit, and then just kind of keep the promoting. Like, hey, Miss Jones, like, oh, by the way, you're totally helping me out. Thanks for giving me the 2 recommendations. If there's any way I can get to the smiley face in my paper, it's actually I get an automatic sponsorship once I get to 10 appointments. Who else can we get down? And that's how you want to ask it. And that's kind of like how you do the pass back on the virtual versus in person. It's just like, hey, Miss Jones, if you get to the smiley face, actually the sponsorship, and you literally physically pass the paper back to them.
Okay.
Cool. All right, man. Well, nice job. Are you still on the phone with the customer?
No.
Okay, cool. All right, well, nice job with the first one, man. And like I said, you haven't had advanced training yet, so we'll get you there pretty soon. Talk to me about when's your next appointment? Who's coming up here in a second, shortly?
1 o'clock.
1 o'clock. Okay, cool. Wait 1 second. By the way, you guys all should be listening to this engaged because literally everything about this show, you guys, is exactly what I'm doing right now. Cool, awesome. Who's that 1 o'clock with?
My grandmother.
Grandma. Nice. Cool. Are you excited for that one?
Yeah.
Awesome.
I am.
And then what do you think you're gonna sell on that one, man?
I'm not sure what she has, but she doesn't like cook, but she likes cooking a lot and she hosts a lot. So
Cool. So she's out of how old is your grandma?
under 70.
Okay, cool. So she's still a little bit younger, and then if she hosts and entertain a lot too, like that's gonna be a good sale there.
Yeah, exactly. She's like in like a lot of like clubs and stuff, and always has her friends over and cooks for them. So I figured she'd still be a good person to go to.
Yeah, dude, that's a perfect one right there. There you go. What do you think? Yeah, what set do you think you're gonna sell on that one? She entertains a lot. Which one do you think we're talking about?
I don't know if she'd go for the ultimate, but I bet I could get her to go for the signature set.
Yeah, probably exactly too. And the ultimate for people who love to cook, and since she's a little bit older, maybe that's not the right one for her. But a signature set would definitely be a good one that she could probably use.
Mm-hmm.
Cool, awesome, man. Well, go rock that appointment out. And she knows a lot of people in clubs sell that too. Also, I'd be thinking about recommendations. That's probably a really good one. You know, grandma helping you out that you can get a lot of recommendations on, especially since she's well connected like that too.
My great aunt uncle's numbers and stuff.
There you go. Cool, man. All right. Well, nice job on the first sale. I got to get out of here in a second, but give us a call from your next appointment. Once you get to the appointment, we'll help you out and maybe help you get that first set sale in, okay?
All right.
All right. Sounds good. We'll talk to you soon, Darian.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
I'm going to go open the door to Tab. She's here.
Okay, cool. What's she here?
No, she's just like, doesn't know how it flows. Like,
Okay.
the book, so I just-
All right, cool. So, all right, let's go over this real quickly. By the way, so actually, let's just debrief that for a second. What are some things you guys just heard there?
Don't forget your family.
Definitely the fact that, like,
Wait, can you leave that one on so you can hear our conversation?
Yeah, you can, or can you play it?
That's what I just did, and then you
Oh,
just turned it off.
and then just turn his volume down.
Like not overhyping the stats, like, oh, what are you gonna sell? Like a signature, yeah, like you do, like no big deal. Like it's kind of like it's better to do it that way than to like overhyping, because then it's like.
Yep, cool. What else?
Making sure he's confident after his first sale, but like not like what he told you to.
Yeah.
Cool.
Talking about advanced training, making him feel comfortable that like there's more to come.
Yep, awesome. Let's go here.
Asking them what set they think they're gonna get, so that they already have like an expectation. But if the expectation is too low, try to bring it up.
Right.
Right.
Yep, send him on fire for the next one.
I just had it in my head. Oh, like asking about like after you stop talking about like that appointment, you start talking about like, what's your next appointment, what do you think you're gonna sell, like he was saying about the expectations.
Cool. Send mine for the next one. Yep.
Finding out what you thought you did good and then what you thought you didn't do so well.
Cool.
So like you could kind of like encourage him and like give him tips for like future appointments to just build his confidence.
Yeah, and what that was the recommendations on that one. Other ones too, like I could probably ask more questions on that if we had more time. I'd be like, hey, cool, what do you feel like you did well in this appointment? What do you feel like you still need some, or you feel still feeling rocky on? You can feel some work on. Cool. All right, Danny.
Yeah, I was gonna say the recommendations, like definitely making sure to ask about that. Make sure he knows that it's important. To, like,
Yep. Cool. So everything is actually perfectly go because everything I'm about to walk through right now is pretty much what I just had the opportunity to do. And the people that Danny was laughing, and so was Julia, because literally word for word, I sent them a voice app yesterday of guidelines for first weekend PVI, and it's almost like I might as well have just played my voice app just now that I played last night. So it's pretty much to a T. So that's usually how that goes. So again, you have a first weekend in appointment check-in, you have your coaching calls, and you have a daily check-in. Is she just waiting here for you, or?
Oh, okay. So now she's actually like wanting to quit, but I told her that you would talk to her and then I'd see how that conversation went because I didn't want to just. I told her to come back tomorrow.
Told her to come back and quit tomorrow.
Yeah, I said come back tomorrow and talk to Andrew. She's like, oh well, like I need to go, and I'm like, well, you can't just expect now during a meeting that we're just gonna help you out.
Yeah, she says she's like short on time or whatever.
Yeah, and I'm like, okay, then you need to come back tomorrow.
Okay, cool. All right, so in appointment check-in. So that's when they call in for the appointment. So whenever you're doing that, your objective there is literally just to help close the sale. Okay, you're trying to close the deal, close the sale, whatever. Coach them real quickly in that. So usually everyone knows, and this is what I teach them in training. Okay, let's see if you guys remember. Right. So you say one of two things. I'll put this one on the board since like this is actually something right on the board. So where do we put in their manual to call the office at what point of the demo?
After Mrs. Jones,
Yep.
I wouldn't be doing my job.
Yeah, so literally, hey, Miss Jones, I would be doing my job. I asked you this question. Would you like to try out the Hummer today, get your free pair of Super Shares? And they write big and bold in their notes. All of this. Okay, and then from there, okay, this is how we coach the reps on how we're going to answer the phone, by the way, okay? And how we answer the phone needs to be kind of consistent so they can expect the same thing on most of the calls. Same thing I was explaining to everyone else. Like I always answer the same way every single time for a reason. If it's eventually if it's a rep that's been on a team for a long time, you don't have to answer the phone like that every single time. You can just be like, if Alex calls me, like, hey, what's up, Alex? Like, but I don't have to like every single time. Julia, who is this? But especially for reps in their first weekend, that's definitely how you want to answer the phone. So you say, my Miss Spartans Homemaker Hotline. This is Andrew. Who is this? All right, awesome. Hey, and then this is how we coach it. What I coach them to say in their demos is like, hey, Andrew, I'm here with my customer, my lovely customer right now, Mr. and Mrs. Jones, and they're going to say one of two things. And by the way, they usually, like, no matter how much I teach it to them in training, they usually botch this their first weekend. As probably many people in the room did. Or probably not, because you guys are actually know what you're doing. So they'll either say, hey, Andrew, I'm with my customer right now, and they are definitely getting. I don't even need to write this on the board, but they're going to say, hey, either definitely getting, okay, or they're going to say, hey, they were considering, but, right, they'll give you another option. So it's like, hey, I'm with the customers, they're definitely getting a Homemaker. When that happens, your job now as a manager is to help sell them a Signature Complete set, okay, because then there's like, hey, they're definitely going to get that. A lot of times, like, as managers, like, oh, cool, you sold a Homemaker? All right, nice, all right. Get a lot of recommendations, have a good one, okay, and I'll hang up. But our job is to try to help upsell those ones, especially on their first few appointments. Most of these appointments, when they're doing the first ones, they're doing it with like friends and family. They're doing it with people that like a lot of times when they'll sell a Homemaker, like, I mean, you guys probably all think back to it too. Some of your first sales, you're like, God, I could have sold so much more if I like knew what I knew now. On some of my appointments. So they'll be with a customer that could easily buy a complete set, or like could be like a kitchen, or it could be something bigger, and they'll sell them like a galley or like a Homemaker or something else like that too. So, you want to capitalize on those first few appointments that they have. A lot of times it's their best customers, and you want to be like, hey, we actually have this deal running right now on the Signature set. We actually have a deal running right now on the Ultimate, where if they got, the complete set today, they can actually get the Entertainer pack and the kitchen tools for free with it. Just let them know that. And we just want to put it out there because they're not going to lose the Homemaker sale by us giving them a deal on like the Signature Complete set. Okay. Part of this comes from like the actual experience of like how to make deals and craft deals together. So you guys should learn that on a basic level, and I'll go over some of that here in a little bit. But you want to get good at that stuff, okay? And I'm gonna so if you don't know it in your own demo, start trying to learn how to like piece deals together and how to do things. Like you need to know how to do like the trade-in special. You need to know how to actually like calculate the 5-pay, things like that. And I can help you out. That stuff's all
Plus
easy.
12 times 1.07 divided by 5.
Yep. So and that stuff's all easy, okay? So we can go over all that stuff. This stuff's a little bit more challenging. So they say either definitely getting, or they're going to say, hey, they're considering but, which is like AKA save me, give me a deal, help me do something, or help me drop down and show some smaller options, okay? So you'll help coach them from the demo. And you want to do it as if you were almost dropping down with the customer. So I'll usually give them, usually they say they're definitely getting, 9 times out of 10, it's something about the price of the Homemaker. And 9 times out of 10, we're probably giving him like a trade-in special. Okay, which is anyone who knows how to do the trading special. Okay,
Isn't
great.
it just like you like if it's a Homemaker, you get them the basic Homemaker and then add the table ends.
So yeah, you guys want to write this down for sure. So all it is, here's how it works. All you're doing whenever you do a trading special, this is the easiest way to give discounts. Okay, is all you're doing is you just have it's the price of the basic plus 1 table knife. So if you wanted to do a galley trade-in, it would just be that basic galley plus 1 table knife is the price, and you give them the other table knives for free, right? So a homemaker basic is how much? $10.09, and a table knife is how much? 41. So the trade-in special for the homemaker is $10.50. Okay. Then next thing you need to know is how to calculate the 5 pays, which again, hopefully most people know. But if you don't know, all you do is you add the $12 in the admin processing fee for having a 5 pay, and then after that, so now it's $1,065 or 1,062, and then you just add tax. That's it. 7% divided by 5. That's how you calculate the 5 pay, right? So tax, I multiply times 1.07, and whatever that is, I divide it by 5, right? And that's how I would get like the 5 pay. So the 5 pay for the trading special is $10.50.
Wait, why did you add plus 41?
Because you charge for 1 table knife.
Yeah, that's what I calculate the trading special. So like that's the item total. So $10.50. So all I do with my calculator, by the way, it's fast when you're doing your calculator. I'm like $10.50 plus, oh gosh, maybe it's not fast. $10.50 plus 12 times 1.07 equals 1,062. I messed that up though. $10.50 plus 12 equals 1,062 times 1.07 equals that, divided by 5, and voila, that's the 5 pay. Okay, so it's $227 for the homemaker discounted is a 5 pay. Then when you calculate those numbers, you want to calculate it for the reps usually, and you just give them the prices and you tell them how to present it, right? So you'll say something like, hey, so, okay, cool, Robert. So what you want to go ahead and do is, and this is for like, and you want to hype up the deal too. Like you want to get them excited so they get their customers excited. And I'll tell them, hey, by the way, you're going to want to get excited when I give you this deal. Okay. So I'm like, hey, Robert. So actually like what you want to go ahead and do is, so write this down, and this is a close family friend, right? So you want to hook them up. All right, cool. So go ahead and cross out 1273 on your paper. Okay. What we can actually do is we can do something called a trade-in special. So what we can do is we can take a couple of their old knives. And by the way, you don't always have to do the special. You could just give them the discount if they're like, but sometimes like the special helps more, makes customers feel like they're getting a better deal. I don't know. So like a psychology thing. But so it's like, hey, go ahead and cross out 1273. Now write down 1,050. Yeah, so we could actually give them like a $200 discount on the actual set. Now cross out 1050, write down 227. That's how much it would cost a day on the 5 pay, and they would still get the homemaker. They get the 8 table knives, the solid oak wood block, the cutting board, and the sharpener all included with their set, and it only cost them $227 today, right?
We can do that.
Yeah, we can do that, right? So go ahead and show them those prices. Give me a call back if you have any trouble closing that, okay? That's another kind of line that you always want to have there is like you always want them like, hey, give me a call back if you have trouble closing that deal. Because a lot of times like reps will like, you think they're about to close a homemaker, and then they'll call you like 20 minutes later and they walked out with a no sale. It's like, how did you walk out with a no sale? You're just about to sell a homemaker. Like, didn't sell anything smaller than that. It's like they were like right on the edge of the homemaker. Like something happened along the line. They won't like drop down. I'll go homemaker, nothing. And they'll walk out. So that's why I always have like, hey, call me if you have any trouble closing that. Because also a lot of times too, there's further deals that we can do. We can give away more for free. We can play around with some stuff. I don't always give them the craziest deal possible ever. So I'm like, hey, give me a call back if you need some extra help with that. We still have some wiggle room there, and like if you need help closing that deal. So that's the actual appointment check-in. And then anytime they like call you, make the sale, you're like, all right, cool. Make sure you get a ton of recommendations. Give me a call afterwards. We'll talk from your coaching call. So that's that. Okay, this will take a little bit of practice and just learning how to do some of the deals and wheeling and dealing. Coaching calls are a little bit easier to do. And the way a coaching call is going to work, I'm going to give you guys the kind of foundations for it. But that was literally a coaching call right there. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to say, hey, how'd your demo go? Right? How'd your demo go? Like, hey, how'd it go? What do you think? What do you feel like you did well? And almost the first conversation I have is someone in their first weekend, okay? Let me actually frame your mentality real quickly, okay, in first weekend. I talked about this last night in the voice apps, which I'm going to send these all into the group chat just so you have them kind of as an audio resource as well if you forget any of this information, but still write it down. So someone's first weekend impacts a lot, okay? You guys want to know like a statistic real quickly here, okay? Just so you guys can be aware of this, and this is something that you kind of like think about when you're in management. Whatever someone sells, so there's something called PPR, which stands for rep productivity, right? Or productivity per rep, okay? And that is basically, if you want to know your sales for the year, your PPR is like how much did you guys sell based on how many recruits you had in your office. So like we sold, $100,000 and we had 100 recruits. So the PPR was $1,000 per rep. Okay. This also includes like zero sellers, like people that launch from training, never sell a single dollar and like quit like a day later. They're included in this math as well. So our PPR for the summer is like 5.5, 6K almost. Okay. The PPR across the country is like 2K, like average, or like one. It's actually less than 2K on average across the entire company. So, but again, that's not affected. It's not the average person statistically sells like one to 2K, but like based on like people that don't even sell anything, the zeroing out, like that's how it averages out to. So it's helpful when you're calculating our math and our projections and our goals, because we just say, hey, here's our goal for like the week, or this is our PPR for the summer. This is how many recruits we would need this is how many people we would need to recruit in order to get the sales results that we want. So once you know someone's sales rep productivity, okay, and I know this is all getting into numbers and stuff, but let's say someone has, 2K PPR, okay, here's the other metric you want to know. Someone typically sells, so the PPR is usually about twice whatever someone sells in their fast start. So literally, someone statistically at least, right, like nationally across the company, whatever someone sells in their first 10 days on average, that is what they sell the next, that's what they sell. They sell double that for their whole career. Okay. Now, again, this is a factor in people that quit right after the first 10 days. Obviously, for most of you guys in the room, that's not the case. But again, like in averages, that is the case. So that means like if there's a 2K PPR for your office, almost always you have a fast start average. So that's like how much does the average person do in their first 10 days in the job? Almost always your average fast start productivity is half what your average rep productivity like in total is. So if you had 2K PPR, that means the average person is probably selling about 1K in their fast start. Okay. Here's the next statistic for you. Your fast start productivity, about half of your fast start usually comes in their first 3 days in the job, their first weekend. So whatever they sell before Monday, that's usually what they sell. That's their first 3 days on the job. That's like their first weekend PPR. And so they'll sell about half that. So that means they probably sell about $500 their first weekend on the job on average. So if you guys are like math and numbers people here, okay, just based on these metrics, okay, I'll put first weekend. If we increase first weekend and they do better their first weekend, they do better in their fast start. They do better in their fast start, they do better in their career. Like that's just how things work. So that's why that first weekend, those first like 2 to 3 days of someone's career are very, very important. Like their first demos really do impact like what they do for the rest of their career. Let's go around the room. Like how much did you sell in your first weekend? $43. $43. Oh, you only $43 your first weekend? Okay, nice. Danny, what did you sell your first weekend? 4,000. Lauren, what did you sell your first weekend? 1,500. What did you sell your first weekend? Like 10? 9.4. What did you sell your first weekend? Around 2K. What did you sell your first weekend?
I honestly don't know. I know I had 7.3 fast start, but I don't know.
It's probably like 3K or something your first weekend.
Less than a K.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm less than a grand too. Statistically, okay, it's really crazy in management. If you go around the room and you just ask people to raise their hand, like, who sold 1,000? It's like the goal is always first promo, first weekend, first promotion, first weekend. If someone doesn't get to $1,000 in sales by Monday at midnight, statistically they will not be here, right? Now I sold $1,000 my whole first 10 days of the shop, like 18 appointments. So a couple people like we're statistical outliers. Like that is not the case for most people. Like what other type of people are like, I'm not sure how I stayed around here, but without experiencing success at all or that. But most people, they don't experience that initial success at first weekend. They don't last. They don't make it on past that. So first promotion, first weekend is really important. So that's kind of our goal is like, hey, we want to get everyone to $1,000 in sales as fast as possible, right? And coach them there before Monday. Sorry, this is me. Okay, we're gonna coach them to $1,000 before Monday, and if we don't get them there, it's just kind of managing that mentality. If they get over $1,000, next goal is, can we get this person to have a 10K fast start? Can we get them to have like a 3 to 4K first weekend? That's what usually sets someone up for like a 10K fast start. So again, some of this is probably a little bit overwhelming. Hopefully some of this is interesting and helping you think about like this is like the stuff that like managers do like in the background. But so when it comes to the coaching calls, our goal is to just like, we got to talk to everyone from their first few appointments. So someone can't go like 2 or 3 appointments in a row without being spoken to. Because if they do, they usually like, someone has 2 or 3 no sales in a row, like they're probably not going to be here. Like their first 3 appointments in a row are no sales, unless they have like a really good head on their shoulders and they're really focused, which like 99% of people are not. They're going to go home, they have no sales, they're discouraged. Then they talk to their friends and family that all were probably negative about the job before they got started. And they're like, yeah, see, I told you, blah, blah. And then they get super negged out. And then like they don't even make it to Saturday. That's usually what happens. So, it's really important. So first weekend PDI, we have to talk to someone from every single demo. If we don't hear from them from an hour and a half, like an hour and a half after their demo started, they had a 7 p.m. demo and it's like 8:30, like before like 9 o'clock, they need to get a call from us. Like they need to be like, if we haven't heard from them, like they didn't call from the demo, even though we teach them to do that over and over and over again. Most people forget their first weekend, like always don't call in. So they got to get a call from us because if they go multiple demos in a row with no sales, they're not going to make it to advanced training. They're not going to be here, right? So goal is always, can we get someone their first sale? Once they get their first sale, can we get them to their first promotion, right? If we haven't gotten their first sale, it's like, hey, can we coach them and manage their mentality to at least get them to advanced training so they can get some extra help and fix some things up so they can go back out there and start selling. That's kind of the goals and objectives. Let's come up for air real quickly. And it's 12:29. Can we spend 10 extra minutes here? Is everyone okay with that? Yeah. Okay, cool. Because I said we could have 12:30. I want to respect that. So let's just 10 minutes. We can get out of here. We're not really going to touch on PR stuff today. We'll probably touch on it mostly tomorrow. Cool. This will all be here. What was I going to say? Is it raining? Or just the air?
Yeah, it's raining.
Oh, really? It's like pouring right now?
Yeah.
No.
Damn.
I mean, it was so nice.
It was so sunny on the way over here. All right. So what was I saying? PDI.
You said we weren't going to touch up on PRs today.
Just wanted
You
to
were talking about the first sale.
Before that.
You were talking about first sale, first promotion.
Okay, cool. So anyways, someone's goal is we got to get their first sale as fast as possible. So let's talk about actually how to coach them once they get it. Okay, so once they get that first appointment, I'm going to send you guys these WhatsApps so you have them. But get out of that first appointment, cool. First thing is like, hey, I always say this line almost every single time. It's like, hey, so let me ask you, you have a little bit more confidence now that you got your first XYZ out of the way, right? Like even if they didn't make a sale or just had the first no sale, I'm like, hey, cool, no big deal. Let me ask you, by the way, do you have a little more confidence now that you got like your first appointment or two out of the way? Like, yeah, honestly, like I was super nervous the first one, but like now I'm a lot, now I feel a lot whole better. So too, like, yeah, by the way, man, you're gonna get a lot more confident on every single one. Your first few ones are usually kind of funky and weird and stuff like that, but you'll get the hang of it and the repetition down, become a lot more smooth. Same thing in the XYZ. I'm like, hey, if they just made a sale, I'm like, hey, cool, man. Like, let me ask you, do you have a little more confidence now that you're your first sale out of the way? Or you're like feeling better? Awesome too.
I feel like I'm talking to Eddie right now.
Huh?
Yeah, I literally feel like I'm talking to Eddie.
Is this what his conversation?
I'm getting like flashbacks from like my first time. I was like, you feel a lot more confident after that sale? Yeah, definitely.
I knew you could do it. I remember Eddie, he was like, when I saw my first homemaker, he was like, are you surprised? Like, no, I'm not surprised because, and then he's like, oh, because I need. And I was like, wow.
Oh man, what was I saying? Anyway, so you and I just want to pour confidence into them, right? Here's the other big thing, okay? Anytime you have a good rep, if they sell, I'll give Julia as an example. You know what I mean? Like, you can't get hyped up. Oh, if someone goes out in their first appointment, they sell a homemaker, and you're like, nice job. Like, you sell a homemaker. Like, hell yeah. Like, how do you feel? Like, awesome. Like, they're never going to sell another homemaker again. Like, that person will probably never, like, maybe sell one other homemaker ever again. Because, like, now, like, you've just engraved in their mind that, like, what they just did was a big deal. And now they're like, oh, wow, it's a big deal to sell homemakers? Cool. Like, versus, like, the opposite, right, is, like, you create as an expectation. So here's the deal. And you guys know this, but I just said here's the deal. Okay. Anyways, all right. So you guys know this. Yeah, no, that's why I looked at you. Okay. So here's the deal. The confidence and expectation is key. Okay. Majority of time, like I'm telling you, like it's like think about what I do in training. If you guys have ever thought about it, like I run training it's 8 hours, 2 days in a row. I spent about an hour and a half talking about the actual product. Like literally that's the entire training. It's an hour and a half talking about like Cutco. And the rest of the training is literally pouring confidence, beliefs, and expectations into people, right? Because that matters so much more than everything else. What someone expects to sell is always what they end up selling. Someone's confidence level like is the number one thing that affects whether or not someone sells as a new rep and as experienced reps too, by the way. Okay, it's like completely out of your confidence levels. What they go in, their expectations. People that walk in expecting to sell homemakers sell a hell of a lot more homemakers than people that walk in and like cross their fingers and hope they maybe will sell a homemaker. Okay, it's just the way it is. So when people go out their first weekend and have high expectations, they're like, yeah, I'm gonna sell a homemaker. But it's kind of like Amy, you know what I mean? In her first week, like she just like we kept having sale after sale after sale that like we didn't have to convince her that people like bought like a lot of that stuff too. Like she was convinced herself. Where I like as like her first week, I can imagine like someone would try to give her a no sale, and she would like literally like, give them like a dumb look on her face, like she was like kind of like confused, like as in like I don't know, I've really never had this happen before, kind of thing. Like as in like like oh, can I just get pieces? She's like oh I guess like I don't know, like you know, like no one really does that, you know what I mean? Everyone gets one of these sets. I don't really know, and that like, but it's that kind of confidence and belief that like helps you keep making more sales because like, you're so confident in what you're selling. Like yeah, everyone gets this. Like I don't know what else to tell you. And it's the same thing we sold up this first weekend. Like same thing. Julia, you know, had 10K in her first weekend, but remember what you're saying that weekend? Like what was your thought process?
My thought process was I'm probably so behind. I'm pissed off. Why didn't I hit 10K my first day? I was like 3.
Yeah, literally.
I was like,
and that was exactly, and that was Eddie. You know, that was Eddie. Okay.
It's because during training, Andrew told us a story of this guy who like knew he was going out of town for his fast start and he wanted to have a 10K fast start, so we did it all in one day. And I was like, I can do that. Like,
Isn't that Nico?
Yeah, Nico Fernandez.
So I was like, I can
He was
probably do
a
that too. So then I was like, okay, I'm gonna do that.
But the point here being like it's confidence and expectations. The point is that like if like no one would have told if we would have told Julia that like selling 2K in her first weekend was a big deal, then she probably would have only sold 2K in her first weekend. You know, if we would have told her like if they would have been on the phone, been like, damn, you're already at like 5K in sales. Like, how are you feeling? Like she'd be like she wouldn't have probably sold 10K. Like it was like, all right, cool. Like what's the next one? Like talk about it. Like it was like I was like, all right, let's see if we can get to 10K by the weekend. All right, cool. It's like, you know, it's constantly like, all right, creating bigger and bigger and better.
Even later, like when I had that 10K order, like I left there pissed because Eddie like made me think that it could be a 30K order. Like I left there like angry.
and then it really is at the end of the day, it's managing expectations and confidence. So this thing will come along. Point is though that like you don't want to hype up the like a set sale too much too, or like that will like turn the rep's mind. Like you just want to make them say like if they sell a homemaker, I'm like, hey, cool. Like I always am referring back to advanced training, right? So I'm always like, hey, don't even worry, you haven't had advanced training yet. Hey, like you had 3 no sales in a row. Don't even worry about it. You hadn't had advanced training yet. Once you get advanced training, like you're gonna be the right ride for sure. I was like, okay, cool. You just sold your first homemaker set. Nice job, man. Cool. First of many. That's a quote that you want to use a lot line. I would write that down. It's first of many, right? So anytime like, hey, first sale, nice job, man. First of many, or first of sale, nice job, Danny. That's a first of many. You know, first of many homemakers. And I wouldn't even worry about it too much, Danny. We actually, you know, you haven't even had advanced training yet, so we'll get you selling some of the bigger sets here pretty soon, right? That's another big line. It's like I'll have like if they can sell a complete set, and I'll be like, hey, by the way, don't worry about it. Like, you know, nice job on the first sale. We'll get you selling some of the bigger, you know, like our bigger like kitchens and things like that here soon. Like you haven't had advanced training yet, so don't worry about it, right? So I'm always getting them thinking bigger. Like, okay, cool. Like, you know, I did solid. Like, not making them feel bad about like, you know, making a solid sale, but like making like, hey, like, don't even worry about it. We're gonna get you selling some bigger sets here soon. You know, and like kind of constantly framing their mentality. That is the first thing coaching calls. Second thing is always asking recommendations, asking how the recommendations went, right? Like, and giving some quick feedback on there. You don't really necessarily need to give a lot of tips when it comes to recommendations. The only tip I really usually give is pass back and did you actually read page 16? Those are usually the two. It's like pretty simple getting recommendations. You just read page 16 and you do the pass back and like it works. Like, you know, everyone here that doesn't have trouble getting recommendations, so you guys all know. But you also, if you've ever have struggled with recommendations, it probably was when you weren't reading the approach. It's a very simple fix on that one. So recommendations, and then the last thing, okay, someone doesn't have a no sale, okay? Here's what you need to know. Let's see if you guys remember this from training. Ready? What are the 4 keys I share in training? I say, hey, if you forget everything else this weekend, like you forget everything you learned, but you remember these 4 keys, right? You'll at least have those averages. You'll go out and be successful. The first one is to follow the what? Follow the. All right, guys. Kat didn't have my training, by the way. Eddie ran Kat's training, so yeah, Eddie trained Kat on his first weekend too. That was the only training that Eddie ran. So yeah, he's probably so nervous. That was his first training ever.
He told me that like not that long ago.
Yeah, exactly. He probably was freaking out. So what was I saying? But yeah, so first key is to follow the manual. Cool. Next one is, dude, that's the third one, but the next one is to cut a lot of food.
Yes.
Cut a lot of, it's literally in the manual, by the way. You open the first page of the manual, it's like right
Yeah,
there.
I was just thinking that.
Follow the manual. Cut a lot of food. Next one is enthusiasm sells. So in their book, it's have fun. And I put next to it, and they say enthusiasm sells. Cool.
Call the office.
Yeah, the last one is call the office while you're working with customers. So,
I don't know why I said that. Like, now I realize that.
okay. Well, that is 7 steps to the sale. First one is build rapport. Next one is establish credibility. Third one is, create a problem, offer a solution, whatever. So
You always stop at offer a solution.
I know every
Every
single
time.
time. I just like, and I know the other one. I just don't like.
The other three,
I just don't. It doesn't
stops
even.
at 4.
It doesn't really matter. Just like where's now we closing. Okay. Every time I only get to 4 every training, ever. So all right, follow the manual and. Never mind. That's a side story. Okay, so here's the deal. These are the 4 keys. Okay, so when anyone has a no-sale or has trouble in their appointment, it's very easy and tempting, especially when you're young in the business. You want to give them all these tips. Okay, they don't even know how to read the damn book yet. You know what I mean? Like they literally, I'm telling you right now, like whatever they're doing in their appointment is probably not even really like an appointment. It's probably like awful. Whatever they're doing for like 90% of the people when they're doing their first few appointments, it's awful, right? So like they don't need any high advanced tips of like, oh, well, when you're doing this, show them this knife, and you should start talking about this, add this line in here, add that here. They don't need any of that, right? All they need is just like go the fundamentals, do the basics, and they'll go out and sell. So these are the only really 4 questions that are tips that I'm giving people. It's like, hey, man, like, so, were you following the manual? Right? They're like, oh, yeah, I follow word for word. Like, oh, I'm following it for like mostly. It's like, hey, mostly or like word for word? And they're like, yeah, like, well, I just felt like awkward reading it too. It's like, hey, listen, can I give you a tip real quick? Like, yeah, you might, feel awkward reading it, but I promise you sound a whole lot worse when you're not reading, right? Like you sound probably awful when you're reading. You gotta get this down. Steps to memorize the manual. You gotta memorize, internalize, and then customize. We can make it yourself a little bit later on, but you gotta get the basics down too. So whatever, follow me. The second thing is cut a lot of food. It's like, hey, if you don't cut food in your appointments, like I can't, cutting is where the selling happens. When a customer gets a chance to actually use a knife, that's when they get sold on it, So you got to make sure you're cutting on the appointments. So just walking them through and asking questions like, okay, what kind of foods do you cut? Oh, I cut like a grape. And it's like, all right, we might want to like cut like a tomato or something, you know what I mean? Or it's like, bring something on that presentation too. And then enthusiasm sells. Like you can usually tell the kids that are monotone that like are not getting enthusiastic enough. It's like, hey, you got to get your customer excited. Like, if you think you're like if you're at like a 6 out of 10 on enthusiasm level, where's your customer at? Yeah, like a 3. You think anyone's going to want to buy anything if they're like a 3 out of 10 and excitement for it? No, never. Okay. So like if you want to get your customer to like a 6 or 7, where do you got to be? Yeah, like a 9 or 10, right? So we got to up that enthusiasm. We got to get more excited and energetic. And then the last thing is like call the office is like, hey, lots of people their first weekend, they won't call in from the homemaker and they'll call you afterwards. And you have to explain to them like, hey, like I cannot help you if you call me after the appointment. Number 1, you need to call from the appointment to make sure you get paid. Number 2, you need to call in because I can't help you if you call me afterwards, and I can't give you any coach or tips based on like what happened in the appointment if you call me afterwards. So you got to call me from the appointment. That's how we verify it. That's how we make sure we can get paid, and that's how we can actually help you in the appointment, get you some deals and stuff like that. Those are realistically the only 4 keys that I'm really sharing and helping people. Like the only tips that I'm giving are those things, right? For someone's first weekend on the job, and then again, it's always the last thing is always promoting advanced training. After you've done that, so you debrief the appointment. Then you say, so debrief appointment, what do you do well, blah, blah, you need some tips, keys, awesome, hit their mentality. And the next thing is what's coming up next, right? Talk about the next one, right? So the goal is always light them on fire before their next appointment, get them excited about the next one, whatever they're thinking. So whether they just had a big sale and they're coming into another one, get them re-fired up, whether they came off a no-sale streak, like you got to flip the switch with them because a lot of times they'll bring that negative energy with them into the next appointment. And they'll go on the next appointment already like, oh, yeah, like I'm not going to sell anything this one either. And, of course, they think they're not going to sell anything this one that they're probably not going to sell anything, right? So you got to fix that mentality too. So, like, coaching them like, all right, cool. Like, who's this appointment with? Oh, awesome. Your next appointment's with, like, all right, your Aunt Susie. Cool. Tell me about your Aunt Susie. They're like, oh, well, she's nice. We're like family friends. Cool. Blah, blah. I'm like, cool. How old is she? Like, 45, 50 years old. All right, nice. Like, is she a homeowner? Like, oh, yeah, she's like a Mac customer. I'm like, oh, perfect, dude. So she's a Mac customer. Does she cook at all? Yeah, she kind of cooks sometimes. She likes to cook occasionally. All right, cool. So she cooks a solid amount. Does she work or no? Oh, no, she's a stay-at-home mom. I'm like, all right, what does her husband do? he owns a medical center or something like that too. I'm like, all right, cool. Like, so that's like where you're kind of coaching. You almost want them to like sell you on like why they think this is gonna be a good appointment, right? Where they're like not confident enough to sell you and why they're gonna make an appointment. You like ask questions to find things like why this could be a good appointment. It's like, all right, cool. Like, well, it's your aunt. You know, you're super close with her. Like, you know, she's a Mac customer, right? And she likes to cook a lot. Dude, this is like, what do you think you're gonna sell on this one? Yeah, that's an easy homemaker sale, right? Or that's an easy like signature sale or whatever. Like literally exactly what just happened there, right? What are you saying?
Oh no, like my aunt also, like, we're super close or whatever. She's a Mac customer or whatever. Drives a Porsche. She bought like one knife off of me.
Yeah, again, that can happen
So,
too.
you know.
Anyways, whatever. Yeah, they're always the stingiest.
Exactly.
Yeah, the best is at like upper middle. You know, those are the best ones. Anyways,
like super rich people, like they just have people cook for them. So
yeah, they don't even need. They don't cook.
They don't know. They don't know.
The only time rich people buy is when they just want it as like a status item. They just like they like it to have because it looks good, and that's like the only reason they're gonna buy it. It's pretty much usually it's like the upper middle where they're like affluent, but not like like dumb wealthy, where it's just like they have like dumb money. But over there, like they're all off, and they still appreciate family and cooking and stuff like that. All right, anyways, that was a complete side tangent, but yeah, that's the guidelines for PDI. So questions on that? Let's go around real quickly. Takeaways or anything you guys have learned, just learned from that section in like 30 seconds or less. Just quick takeaways.
PDI means.
What PDI means.
I've wanted that all summer.
Really?
I've never asked.
Me too.
Really?
I've never.
No.
Just like little things to say, like when you're on the phone with them and stuff like that, checking in on them, like.
Cool. I would suggest, I'm gonna send the audios. I would suggest scripting it out so you have like when you're doing your next call, you have them on speaker and you're looking at the notes in your phone, being like, okay, cool, nice job in that one, right? So maybe I'm gonna send you guys the audios. I would suggest taking some time and scripting it out so again you have that before the first one.
I listened to it like 3 times.
Cool. We will probably add you guys on to the PDI line here shortly. I don't know exactly how I'm going to do it yet. I haven't decided what's the best because there might be too many people here to put it on. So I might only put a certain amount of people. The last few things that we'll do before we finish up here, all of you guys are going to have department heads. Okay, so you guys are all going to be in charge of a department, kind of like a real business. So everyone's going to have like will be in charge of something. So like I have like say, hey, like, Robert, you're in charge of, campus recruiting. Or you're a campus recruiting manager. Rob, you're in charge of our sales productivity. Julia, you're in charge of our office recruiting. So like basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to teach you guys how to read the stats and the reports, and it's going to be your job. It doesn't mean that's your primary responsibility because everyone has multiple hands and different responsibilities. So everyone, for instance, would be helping out with active. But Robert, if you were in charge of active advertising, that would mean like you'd be like the go-to guy. Like when something's going wrong in active, it would be like your job to take care of it. When there's something like going on where like when we run our staff meetings, which will be Monday nights, that's the last thing to do. Like before we get out here, let me do that in like 2 minutes. When we run our staff meetings, right, what we would do is we would go over and discuss like, all right, we'd have like a quick update from every single person that's head. So like one person would be in charge of social media, one person so Rob would be like, hey, this week we took, 143 touches from campus. We're crushing it. I think we need to get more back on this campus because we haven't been there in a while and there's not much presence there. And then we should stop going to FIU because no one's ever around there and like we've already been crushing that. I don't know, whatever the update would be. So you give like your thoughts or whatever. So you're kind of like looking at that, then like Danny could be like, hey, look, I've been looking at our interview show numbers and like our show training last week was 30%. Like we definitely need to like work on our interviews, something's going off there or something. Or hey, like I'm in charge of PRs, like we missed our number again, or we've been crushing this. So you can kind of give updates. You'll have like one kind of department section that you're really like, overseeing and making sure that looks good. There. That's the last thing I'll add there. Questions on any of that? All right, let's just do this last thing. Quick walkthrough through the schedule. Just so you guys know it. So the only other time, so I forgot to mention this. Okay, so everyone that will need to know this. Let me pull up the schedule. Okay, so I'm going to go over the schedule real quickly with Danny, Julia, and Lauren, so everyone else can get out here in like 2 minutes. Again, schedule for Sundays. Okay, when you come in early, we come in at 3 o'clock. So PSPs happen between 5 and 8. We all get in here at 3. And at 3 o'clock is when you would want to do those 3 things. So the first thing you usually do is set PRs, the first thing. right? Set PRs is always like the first priority because that one is easier to get distracted with when there's a lot of people here. So you set 5 PRs, send 50 messages, right? You post to the group chat once you set the messages, and then you book your own personal demos. You can do that on Sunday. A lot of you guys are in class throughout the week, so you won't book a lot of demos on Sunday, and the 5 demos you're booking might be on Wednesdays, right? But you got to make sure you get at least 5 demos completed each week, or $1,000 in sales from those. That'll be on Sundays. Okay. The only other times you need is like, again, we'll have one person, you'll be in charge of one day of active. Monday evenings, we also have our staff meetings. Okay. So our staff meetings are every single week, 7:30 to 9 o'clock here in the office. So you get here right at 7 o'clock, 30 minutes before. And usually that's going to be a time that if you didn't hit your PR number for the week, you can usually get a couple more PRs. Because if you guys remember rep driven during advanced training, what that is like the last hour during advanced training. You remember guys, we'll like set some of your friends up and you kind of like, you'll talk to them and you put them on the phone with like a manager and they'll send them up. That's what happens every advanced training on Mondays. Lauren will be eventually running advanced training and it will go from 4:30 to 7:30. So you guys will get here at 7 o'clock. We can set up for the meeting. While that's happening, rep driven is going on. So you guys can help out a little bit with that. And that's an extra way to just get a couple extra PR set for yourself. And you can help out the team, whatever too. Start the staff meeting right at 7:30 and go to 9 o'clock on Mondays. We're just doing it that time. I don't really like the evenings, but that's the only time that like most people are like out of the way in classes and school and things like that too. So 7:30 to 9 o'clock on Mondays, and then Wednesdays is just normal time. You just come in during the TLA prep. So everyone's already here from that TLA prep 4 to 5:30, and then it's just normal Wednesday. And you can send the messages around, booking demos, whatever else you have going on. If you don't have to book demos, you can book some PR or something like that on Wednesday. Cool. That's pretty much it. The last question that I have is we're thinking about doing this. On Wednesdays, we could potentially move the team meeting to a different time, right? So what we could also do is right now as TLA preps, we go 4 to 5:30. What we could do is we could run the team meeting like 6 to 7 and then do a phone jam right after that, and you leave once you have all your demos booked. Or we could keep it how it is currently. I'm open to either. The number one problem that I see with doing the team meeting earlier is people lose phone time because now it's like 6 o'clock by the time they get done. They only really have like 6 to 9 or 9:30, and that implies like that people are still. And most people like will stay here at 9 o'clock for team meeting, but people like usually get tired of making calls after 9 o'clock. So it's really only like 2 hours maybe of making phone calls versus they usually have like what we had before is like. People roll in like around 5 o'clock and they have 4 hours. So it's like I don't know how that cuts it down in half, but that does cut it down in half, like half the time. So that's the only thing problem that I see. But I've heard different opinions from different people. Some people are like, oh no, definitely keep it at 9 o'clock. It's way better that time. It's out of the way of classes and things like that. A lot of people's schedules, a lot of people have like sports earlier in the day and they can't make it till then. And then also though for our high schoolers, it's kind of like late. You know what I mean? It's like 9 o'clock. It's kind of like later and stuff like that too. We could also just run it at like 8:30 every single week. You know what I mean? Just do the phone jam and then do like a shorter phone jam. We can start off the meeting at 8:30 and then by like 9:30 in the late end, like 9:45, like we could go late. What do you all think is, I don't know. What do you guys, just initial thoughts?
I like how it is because, 8:30 wouldn't be that much different, I guess. But, I don't know. It's like kind of like nice, like ending the night, like with like team meeting.
Yeah, I feel that.
Yeah.
Robert?
8:30, I say 8:30.
Yeah.
So what about you? You're in high school?
Yeah, I mean, for me, obviously, it works better like earlier. But yeah, 8:30, I think would work fine as well.
Yeah, I feel that.
Just try.
Cool. All right.
I agree.
Just do like just the same thing as like right now, but just maybe do it a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
Cool. That's cool with me. And we'll do the same thing that we'll do like too. If everyone gets their demos booked out, we can always start the team meeting earlier.
No, and it's like, I don't know. I feel like if people.
You tell people that at like when they start coming in, like, oh, if you guys all like hit your goals, we can start the team meeting earlier and get you all out of here earlier. Like they'll be more motivated to like hit their
No,
goals.
but also I think maybe if you were to do the team meeting before the phone jam, like people might not be like as motivated to hit their goals and they just want to leave and go home.
Yeah, I saw it 2 ways. So one, I saw like they'd be more fired up right after the team meeting's over to start making calls, but then they also would probably like get discouraged faster and be like, 7 o'clock, I kind of got to go home now, like, whatever, like kind of thing. Like it's like even though they've traditionally always been here longer too. So
I thought of it
Yeah, so I'm leaning towards just trying to do it like at 8:30 each week, 9 o'clock if I need to push it back, but like trying to shooting for starting time 8:30 each and every single week. So we'll just do that. Cool. All right. Well, let's just do this. Finish off the meeting. Just biggest takeaway from today, and biggest takeaway and your biggest action step moving forward. So, what's your biggest takeaway from the meeting today? What's the biggest thing you learned? And then, what's the number one action step you need moving forward? It could be, your personal sales. It could be getting up your Instagram ready. It could be practicing PDI. I have no idea what it is. It could be like getting your school schedule made out. Because I don't know. So, biggest takeaway. What's your biggest action step? We'll start off with Alex.
I'd say probably practicing the PDI. That's definitely like what I think I should probably work on the most.
Cool.
Because I'm pretty like set with all my schedule and everything.
Sweet.
And what was the other thing?
What do you appreciate? Or what's that? Or sorry, what was your biggest takeaway?
No, it was the next step.
The action plan.
Yeah.
Oh, that was the action plan.
So yeah, like
Okay, cool. Awesome.
Make it script.
All right, Danny.
Yeah, definitely for me, same thing. Like the coaching calls, definitely more like hints of like what to say to them and things like that. And action plan is just definitely like getting my schedule together and make sure like I take time management into account.
Cool. Awesome. Lauren.
I think the biggest one, same thing, PEI. We never went through this. It was kind of just like, all right, you learn as you go, guys. Here it is. We never got this.
Really?
No, we never. Andrew, when did you teach us this?
Well, to be honest, we went over it in the calls leading up to the summer.
No, we never talked about PEI. Sorry.
We definitely did because I have it in my notes and it was on one of the days.
All right,
But
we did.
we probably didn't go into it as detailed.
Yeah, and then biggest action step is just working on it.
Okay. Cool. Julia?
Same thing. I'm scared to pick up the phone, but I feel more comfortable now. Action plan. Final, like now that my schedule's finalized, just like marking everything down, organizing myself, and answering the phone. No, I guess.
Answering the phone. Awesome. Giselle?
Yeah, just like coaching, like ways to help out like new reps, just like, like when they're going into the jobs, like make them a little like more enthusiastic, even if like they're having no sales. And then biggest action plan is just like fine tune my schedule for like this upcoming year.
Cool.
And
Kat?
Okay. Biggest takeaway, definitely the coaching calls, like just like knowing what to say to them, like how to help them out, and kind of like seeing it from the other side now. Pretty cool. And then biggest action step, or like pretty much just organizing my schedule, just kind of seeing like when I can do demos, or like also my mentality, because like this week was crazy because so this week and rush week and like all this stuff. So like
You had rush week this week?
Yeah. So like I'm like exhausted, but I just keep doing things. So I'm like pushing through it, but like then it's like when I do have like a little time that I might be able to do a demo, I'm thinking like, oh, I'm tired, like I want to do it. But like I just gotta like get over that.
Yep.
And also after this week, like the schedule's gonna be a lot more chill.
Cool. Robert?
I have to definitely say that it has to do with the PRs. So in that line that says, do you know anyone who might want a job? And I'm just excited for that. And that's my biggest takeaway, the PRs, and I'm excited.
Biggest action step moving forward?
Biggest action step moving forward. Changing my approach when talking to PRs.
Cool. Awesome. All right. Sounds good. Cool. All right. Well, like I said, guys, I'm pretty excited I'm excited to have you guys all on the staff in the fall, and regardless of what role you guys are playing, I'm really looking forward to all the magic we're gonna create this summer, or not summer, fall. Just so you guys know where we're at for the year. We'll be at like 850 by the end of the summer. Goal is to get to 1.2 million. We need to have like a 300K fall is the goal. 250. So basically the goal is about 200 to 250K in new business, and and then 50 to 150K in total business. Total business is someone that's over 30K in sales. So like Julia's in total business, Amy would be in total business. Like if Eddie was here, is in total business. If I saw him in total business, and then we have Garrett Serwatka, who sold like 400K. He's coming into our office next week. and he's gonna be working out here permanently too. So he sounds like a pretty cool guy. He's like a CSP. He's not technically a CSP yet. He's only an FSM. So he just like is a guy that was like selling a lot. Basically, he's not an official CSP. But he was doing it, and then he quit his job to come down here and work with Grant Cardone. And then he did that for 9 months, and he was like, "Yeah, screw this. I want to go back to selling Cutco, and I'm going to do it in Miami." And so he's like, "Yeah, I want to go meet millionaires and billionaires down here doing Cutco." So that's what he's gonna do. Yeah, this guy's a baller. He went to like when he was in Pennsylvania, like he saw the coach of like the Eagles, the coach of like the 49ers, like the people like people like money people. Like he was like networking away. Like Kyle Lopes is the number guy beating Amy Rod right now. Like he goes to Columbia University. I talked to him one time. When he worked out in San Francisco, like, I mean, he was seeing like Mark Zuckerberg, Steve Jobs, like all these people, like why they're out like there. And like those people he's doing Cutco appointments with when he would sell like hundreds of $1,000s a year. It's pretty crazy. Super dumb networking. So by the way, you guys can do that, network your way through it. I'm sure you all will be able to, it's gonna be cool too. If he's in our office, like you guys can be able to learn a crap ton from him. And by having more leaders like that, 21, and by having more leaders like that in the office is gonna help increase everyone. So we'll end with that. Y'all three, Lauren, Julia, Danny, we'll stay out there for a quick second. Yeah, let's just do like 5 minutes so that we can get out of here because I don't want to hold anyone else. You got lunch too. You can use restroom super fast when you do that. But everyone else, have a good one.